Hang on. All right. You still with me?
Yeah.
All right, cool, dude. I got you on speaker because my headset isn't worth a shit.
Yeah, I actually just ordered a bunch of headsets. We ordered 4 or 5 more.
Wow.
Because we order them in bulk. They're really cheap. They're like $10 headsets, but we go through them pretty regularly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying to save up for like a more fancy one, you know, like a Razer, something.
Yeah.
You know, whatever, man. You know, if it has glowy LEDs and says Razer on it, you know what? I'm gonna just shut up because I sound like a commercial.
No. Hey, that's what's up, though. I mean, you know what you're into, so.
Yeah,
what I've got is an Azor mouse. Literally AZZOR. Azor.
I like that.
Yeah. My keyboard's from the same company, so. But their logo legit looks like a fucking fidget spinner.
That's pretty funny,
like,
dude.
It is fucking weird.
Dude,
I think it was like $20, and it's a wireless keyboard mouse setup.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it mechanical, or is it like, you know?
No.
Okay.
It's not. I wish it was. That was my biggest complaint, is that it's not mechanical.
Yeah.
But I don't really do a lot of gaming out here, and when I do, I use my Steam controller, so.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, is a Steam controller worth it? Like, could I like be a boss on AOK with it?
On AOK with a Steam controller? I mean...
Yeah, that sounds kind of dubious.
Right. I would use it for, I don't know, games like... I like it in first-person shooters and stuff.
Okay, or like Isaac or something.
Yeah. Or, like platformers, right?
Super Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy? Yes. It is a must-have for Super Meat Boy. But yeah.
Yeah, hey man, I remember all the indie games you were showing me a few years back, man. I had them for the longest, but then I caught that Doom HD fucking worm or whatever it was called. You know.
Yeah, I had to change my password. I actually don't remember it. I'll have to look it up, so I can get you my password again.
Word, dude.
As soon as I figure out what the fuck it is. I gave MZ access to a lot of it the other day.
Yeah, right on, dude. You know, got to keep on gaming, you know. But
that's it.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm trying to get more into like streaming. You know, I'm trying to find something that that'll stick. You know, because right now I'm just kind of like I'll play a game here, I'll play a game there. But you know, at heart, I know that it's mostly like irrelevant, just because like. You know, I understand it's like just games, you know, underneath it all, you know, at face value. But, you know, it's something that I'm personally into, and, you know, it's a fun hobby or pastime. So I don't see anything wrong with it. The dream would be to be able to monetize it, though. But, you know, whatever, man. I'm just a dude playing games online, whatever.
A couple things to think about there, though. If it makes you happy, it's ultimately worth it. But beyond that, like, if other people are watching it and enjoying it, and putting it out into the world, that's pretty dope, dude. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, you're putting content out, which is a lot more than most people can say. You know? Yeah.
What you call it?
But I'm biased. I'm a content producer myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I enjoy our conversations, because it's like, you know, it's like whenever you put two entrepreneurs in the same room together, man, they could just like bounce ideas off each other. You know, I feel like we kind of have like a similar set of a mindset, rather, you know, that we can just kind of like we can bounce ideas off each other, and not only that, but like collaborate at times too. You know, so I mean, we get like the best of all worlds.
That's why I enjoy talking to you, dude. It lets me feel creative and inspired by the time we walk away. You know.
Yeah, man.
Something that I want to work on when we're done.
You know, there's actually an explanation for that. What you call it?
Yeah.
They call it like being on like a similar wavelength, but like in terms of like chakras, so it's like, you
Okay.
know, I'm not sure like how knowledgeable you are on chakras. I'm pretty sure you are, man, just because like at least last I knew you were Jewish, and I know like there's like the Jewish Kabbalah, and I want to say they're into that too. But
I haven't done much research with Kabbalah. The things I know about chakras are all because I did research into Tool songs. But,
well, I mean,
I know a little bit.
Well, I mean that I'm pretty sure that's that might have been how I got started too, on a subconscious level.
Yeah, probably.
And but basically, what the phenomena that is going on is that like everybody has like the set of chakras or whatever, and they're like in flux, but sometimes one or more can be depleted, or at least like not fully recharged. So what happens when you come across different people is like some people have different chakras that are more charged than others. So there's like a synergistic thing going on whenever you come into contact with these people and you kind of synergize together and resonate. So it's like you're literally like they might be charging an aspect of you whilst you're charging an aspect of them. However,
right.
It also goes another way. Like if both people are not getting anything out of it, or if only one is, it kind of becomes like it turns kind of vampiric too. So you got to watch out for that. But that kind of goes without saying.
Dude, I have definitely met a fistful of people like that. Trust me. Fucking, what do you call them? Those fucking bitches that drain your energy.
Psychic vampires?
No. There's a word for succubus. Yeah.
Okay. Or succubi and incubi,
Yeah, man. But, no, I totally understand, dude. That's, that's pretty cool. I like, it definitely feels like we're more harmonized afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
I
refreshing.
feel like all of my creative impulses get way the fuck stronger when I talk to you,
Well, it's because you're talking to a fellow creator, and vice versa. So it's like, I mean, there's like you could call it chakras if you want, or you could call it like different powerhouses, whatever makes sense to you. I don't believe in a static way of saying anything. I think everything's like universally tied to everything else. So you can say it however you want, but I guess this is the more I don't want to say trendy, but definitely the more accessible way of describing it.
Yeah, it's the lowest common denominator of describing it.
Dude,
the way that I would describe it is probably just harmonizing ideas. But I feel like it might be more than that. But like at the end of the day, it's harmonizing your psyche with someone else's. You're able to take on their ideas, but at the same time, twist them into something where you can see it from a different perspective. Like if we're discussing something, I'm going to present it in a way that either you haven't thought of or a way that you're not thinking of at the moment.
Right.
And vice versa.
Yeah, dude, it's almost like collectivism in a way.
I wrote a paper that I want you to read. I have given it to a shit ton of other people who promised to give me feedback, and not a one of them got back to me.
Oh, man.
I know, right? And, okay, so here's the thing. Let me give you a little bit of background on this. I took a philosophy class. And I did really well. I passed it with an A, right? I got really high, and me and MZ started talking. And this was in July. We came up with this idea for discussing religion and science at the same time. And we kind of invented an ideology. The idea is that there's a transcendental energy that exists beyond space-time that is both the beginning and end of the galaxy and the universe and time itself. Anyway, I'm going to send you the paper. Hang on.
Is this that conduit you were telling me about way back when?
Maybe. We refer to it in the paper as coppertop. Cool. Anyone with the link can view it. So I will just send you the link then. It's only, I think, 5 pages. Hang on, I'll look. It's only a few pages. It's not very long. So, I mean, it's not a lot of reading. It is like, I actually wrote this for my professor, so it's actually a fully legible college grade paper that he swore up and down to get back to me on and never did. So, fuck him.
You clearly blew his mind out the water, man.
Well, the son of a bitch heard me talking about it and was like, do you have anything written about it? And I was like, no, I chose not to write it down because I don't want to commit any of this to words so that people will use it to hurt other people. Like, that was my biggest fear, is that if somebody takes this ideology, says that they believe in it, and then does terrible things because of it.
Yeah, man.
Like, that is something that I don't want to happen. So that's why I was like, no, I'm not going to commit it to writing. He's like, write it for me. Fuck, okay. So I wrote this specifically for him. He swore up and down and gave me feedback. Never fucking talk to me again. Like, you son of a bitch.
Dude, shoot me the link, man.
So you're not, I just did. I think either that or I sent it to Junior by accident. No, I sent it to you on Facebook.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay, yeah, you made it a Google Doc.
Yeah.
So
it's called Considering the Implications and Applications of Transcendental Energy, subtitled Coppertop. But basically, the way that I figured out the Big Bang, essentially. The way that the Big Bang happened, it's sort of so I'm trying to think of how I phrased it. It was, there's a lot of interesting shit, dude.
No, I'm just looking at the bullet points, man. And I'm already like digging where it's going.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we dude, for real, me and MZ went a long way on this. Like, this was mostly me. He helped me do some thought exercises that got me there. But basically, through energy, you can create matter. And I think it is because of that, that's how we actually, in the very beginning, created the universe.
Whoa, hang on a second,
dude. The energy was already there.
As you said that, I literally had my mouse over like that part of the paper that you're describing. Yeah. So basically E equals MC squared. Energy is equal to matter.
That's exactly it. Yes. So here's the thing: if we started with just energy in the beginning that created all of the matter in the universe, we could also conceivably think that energy would exist beyond us as well. Everything exists because of this energy. Everything is technically this energy. Right?
Yeah, well, we're all of it.
God.
Wait, you're talking about God?
I'm saying that Coppertop is a god.
Oh, a god.
Yeah, that's the idea. This is bridging religion and science.
Oh, I see.
This is expressing a new way to think about God through science.
It's almost kind of like cyberpunk, too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, man.
Transcendental energy, man. That's, and I don't necessarily know if I believe in it or not. I wrote a paper on it. It's my idea, but I still kind of have some issues with it. Like, I don't know. And suddenly I have less issues with it.
Dude, sweet bubbler.
Thank you. His name is Morty. No, I'm lying. That's actually the Death Star.
Even better.
Yeah.
No, cool, man. No, you go ahead on and do it, so I don't have to, man. It's.
Oh, bro, I'm sorry. I totally fucking forgot.
No.
Really insensitive.
No. I like it, man, because it's like you're taking on that for me, you know.
Vicariously, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you're giving me that energy.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, dude, it's cool. I dig it. See, the only difference is I'm trying to do something new in the physical plane. Like I've said before, I've got like some obligatory things to take care of, at least as far as like my material existence goes. So I have to abstain from practicing self-medication in order to enter the slave fucking work field.
I feel you on that.
At least
right now, I'm actually trying to cut down. I really shouldn't be smoking that much.
Well, I think this is exceptional because like this is a time of creativity. Right. So this is where it counts the most. I think if you're gonna do it now.
Well, I've got about a half a bowl that I didn't smoke this morning that I'm kind of nursing. Last night I only smoked one bowl, which is a big thing for me because I was smoking about 4 a day. But I am my father's son, so.
Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with that. Your father's a good man.
It's the way of the grift, sir.
And I completely abide, But I'm right there in spirit with you, though, dude. I'm in complete agreement and supporting what you're doing. I wish I could do it too, but I'm being held down by the man right now. The oligarchical fucking laws of the powers that be.
Dude, same though. I mean, to be honest, I need to it needs to become legal so I can just not have to worry about it. But yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I've got the money to get more right now, dude, and I've got some left, but not a lot. And I just fucking blew through a half in no time.
Yeah,
2 weeks, and I'm down to about an 8.
No. 2 weeks sounds about how a half would last me as well. About a quarter a week.
Okay,
that's about average. That's like casual.
Normally a quarter lasts me about 3 weeks. I've been making it stretch.
Oh, okay.
So I just went from nothing to everything. So I'm like, I need to slow my roll a little bit.
You doubled your intake, but no. I mean, I think as long as you keep it at like a quarter a week interval, I think you're getting the most bang for your buck. Because like if you buy too much of an amount, it'll eventually grow stale. It'll start drying out, and it won't be as potent.
Yeah.
So really, you don't want to smoke it too slow either. Otherwise
that's true as well.
Yeah. So it goes both ways, is what I'm saying. You just got to find like a balance, and I think a half.
My shit don't dry out though. I keep it in airtight jars in darkness.
Right, and you probably have like those anti UV jars that are like really dark blue, like a black light.
Actually, they're clear jars, but I keep them in a dark box.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of.
I got a box.
It's the same effect,
Yeah.
It's all about keeping it away from light.
I watched all of my dad's tricks. I learned. I've got a little box too, dude. It's pretty dope. Actually, fuck. I was gonna show you. It's a normal box. Like it's a little wooden box, right, with a latch on the front and shit. And it's got all this nautical shit sprayed on the outside. I didn't do that. I bought it that way. She opened it up though, and I spray painted my Dead Crows logo.
You would.
Of it. Dude, I've got so much self promo in here, and I love it. Like, fuck everything. This is me. Like, this is my man cave. I live here. But nah, dude. Like, I do all kinds of self promo. I've fucking spray painted my Crow logo on my wall too. I've got a little mural I made.
Radical, man, dude. See, like you're living more or less the life I wish I was. Mine's a little more restricted.
The life you're living, sir. I'm living the life you lived before you decided to level up.
Okay, you know what? Fair enough. But
step behind.
But there is nothing wrong with where you're at, man. There's a.
It's a stepping stone, man. That's all.
Man, but really, there's a merit to it, man. There really is. You you can't deny it, man. There's definitely there's something to that, like, to things being like that simple, you know. And it's not even all that simple. It's still like complex in its own. It's just
Right.
like you just, you know, you have more room to be like kind of liberal with your surroundings, you know. So
Dude, I fucking love it. I really do. Being able to be myself is great. The downside to that, I have focused so much on being myself that I have basically let an entire circle of friends wither and fall away. And so I'm here, I've got everything the way I want it to be, and I'm ready to show everybody that there's no fucking audience. And that is what's been killing me.
yeah,
Like that virtual world I showed you, dude, I can hold up to a couple hundred people on there. I've got nobody on there. I host 2 servers right now with 0 players. You know, and it's my own shit. It's my own masturbatory focus on myself that did it in the end. I didn't call people. I didn't hang out with people. And I didn't do the hard work that is keeping a social circle. You know?
yeah.
But I do still have some people that I talk to. Like, I talk to you, I talk to MZ, I talk to Junior. But honestly, I can't physically hang out with anybody. Like, I don't have a lot of people here that I can hang out with. I didn't realize this until I started taking it, or until I started smoking it. Marijuana actually helps produce insulin. And with me being pre-diabetic, this right here is actually probably saving my life.
Dude.
Like, I know that sounds like something that a stoner would say, right? But honestly, scientifically speaking, if it does help me produce more insulin, it is helping me stay away from fucking diabetic coma.
Well, man, you know, and you don't sound like a typical stoner. I mean, yeah, you know, I mean, I hear that a lot, but or, you know, something along those lines, rather. But there is no denial of the medicinal properties of, you know, the devil's lettuce, you know.
Right? I agree, man. But, like, I also realize that there can be, you know, like with anything, overindulgence can be a problem. And so that's part of the reason I'm trying to slow my shit back down. Like, I've been consuming way too much. And I think that at that rate, I wasn't actually getting anything from it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because it was taking me 2 bowls to get high. I can't do that, man. Like, that shit gets expensive. I couldn't cop a buzz without smoking a couple bowls. I was like, nah. It's not the bud, it's good bud. It's fucking Gorilla Glue, like, I know what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I've had that before. That's alright.
That's my solid. That's what I keep regularly. You know, I occasionally get a hold of some Dark Star, which makes me super happy.
Of course.
Because it's got my name. I was like, yeah, named after me.
Dude.
But yeah, man.
If I'm correct, you probably like sativas then. I want to say Gorilla Glue's a sativa.
Gorilla Glue I believe it's a sativa. I don't know. No.
Oh, no.
I don't know. I think it might be an indica.
It's a hybrid.
Yeah. Okay. It definitely has indica properties.
Even
but
better.
I do like sativas.
Well, I like sativas because they definitely like kind of boost my creativity, you know?
Right.
They get me all like, they get me up, you know? They get me manic. It wakes me up. Whereas an indica, you know, I want to take a nap or something.
Man. There we go. My shit just exploded.
Sounds like it, dude.
Yeah.
What you call it?
When you have... I clicked on a fucking gameplay link to something called The Last Night. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Huh.
It literally just is a bunch of people, but they... You ever see, what's the name of it? I'm trying to think. It's one of those old Sega games. It's a platformer. All of the animation, though, is, like, blocky and the same color. Well, not the same... Everything's, like, separated, really. It's very pixelated.
Huh.
I'm trying to remember the name of it, though. There was one of them that was really, Out of This World, maybe, or... But this weird.
The Last Night.
I have no idea. The Last Night, I think, or something. It's got... Yeah, The Last Night is what it's called. It looks dope, dude, but it just looks like I don't see any actual gameplay elements. It's just... Maybe it's an RPG. But if that was the case, why would you... Kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy VII.
Man,
it's just some of the shit that they're showing.
You're speaking my language.
It looks good, dude. I don't know what it is. I have no fucking clue from this trailer. Like, I don't know. It looks like a series almost. Like, it almost... Hang on. No, and that's not helping anything either. Because it's just music. Oh, I don't know, man. It looks pretty, though. Looks really pretty. But I have no idea what the fuck it's about. Now I'm gonna fucking go crazy over what the name of that game was. Hang on.
Yeah, no worries, dude. What you call it?
Oh, no, it's gonna bug me. World. Something world. Another world, maybe?
Right
I think it is. Yep, 100%. It's called Another World.
Another World?
That wasn't the only title, though. It couldn't have been.
Well, I mean, that's usually not the case, you know? They call it, like, something different in Japan, and then they rename it here, you know?
Yeah.
Just like Mega Man.
Out of This World in North America, and Outer World
Oh, Out of This World.
in Japan. Yeah. But it's
wow,
called Another World.
That looks, I've seen screenshots of this game before. It made, like, a top 10 list of, like, RPGs that you missed. Or you most likely missed. Yeah.
This game without save states is unplayable. Like, for real. I fucking hated that game as a kid because I didn't have save states. Played it a couple years ago with save states, ran through the whole thing. It's a decent story, but it is a weird fucking game.
Another World.
I had to look up a cheat guide, or a guide for it at one point, which made me feel like garbage.
Well, sometimes you have to do that, man. Like, I had to do that with Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen, the original.
Fuck, I need to play that game. I have never beaten it.
Dude, me either, man. I've gotten about halfway through, and it just gets ridiculously hard after a while because, like, you know, you might have missed that one item that will make all the difference.
Right. Did you see the new Super Nintendo, that mini Super Nintendo they're releasing?
Yeah, it's going to come with like 20 games built into it or whatever.
Without Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Chrono Trigger is the only big game that they weren't putting on there. I was like, you piece of shit. So I have a Raspberry Pi that costs $30 instead of the $80 they're charging, and you could buy a $5 or $10 game pad from fucking eBay and set yourself up something 100 times better than that. Called an emulation station.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and you can do, like, I do it. I have one, but it runs all of the games from like fucking NES to any emulator you can run, dude. It pretty much does it. Everything up to probably PS1 games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that's because you're like into that. You know, you've always been into like
retro
ROMs and emulators and stuff. You know, and you know, same here, man. That was like really cool in like the late '90s, early millennia. You know, I'm not saying
that's pretty much where I'm stuck, though. Like,
hey, don't knock it though, Steve. Like I said earlier, man, there's a merit to all that because that era, I feel like it's overlooked, man, because it was kind of like a transitional period, you know, from like the analog age to the digital age. It's like that gray area in between, you know.
So right now, 80s are what's in style, right? The 1980s are so fucking in style right now. You've got Stranger Things. You've got all of the new shit, dude. Even the
Stranger Things with
that movie I watched.
Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Huh.
Tell me that isn't 1980s. Every bit of that is 1980s. That's fucking 1980s nostalgia porn.
I haven't seen it yet, but I keep hearing about it is like Christmas Lights or something.
Fucking please watch it. You will like it.
Okay.
It's centered around a children's D&D game in the beginning.
What? Okay, I'm sold now. See,
watch it, please.
That's all that needed to be told to me. But everyone's telling me like, man, it's this boring show that like could have just been a movie, and they just drug it out. It's like a really long movie.
It's not boring. It is long. I will say that, but it is also really cool. Okay, so it's not really a spoiler, but one of the bad things that they're running up against, they believe is a demigorgon from D&D. A D&D, rather, because it's set in the 1980s. But yeah, that's one great example of the 19... Did you watch Logan?
No, I haven't.
No? You ought to watch that one too. It's one of the best movies I've watched. And while it's set in a future world, it feels 1980s with the way it's been filmed and some of the cinematography. The 80s are really big right now. The 90s probably be really big in about a decade.
Well,
that's my bad.
No, that's okay though. That's okay though, because that'll be room for me to shine.
Oh yeah. But what's gonna kill me is by the time that rolls around, and by the time all of the 90s nostalgia is kicking in, I'm gonna be so sick of it. I'm not gonna want to deal with it anymore. I swear to you, because that's exactly what is going on right now. I was really into the 1980s a little while ago. Now I'm like slowly phasing out of it, and I'm heading into the 90s again. Yeah. Like I'm fucking ahead of the curve, and I don't like it. But the good news is I can get all the cool shit really cheap, and then everybody's like, "Oh, we're gonna spend $80 on a fucking mini Super Nintendo." It's like, bitch, I did my research. I don't need to.
You know what?
And my shit plays Chrono Trigger.
Funny you say that, man, because I'm one of the suckers that would probably buy like the retro SNES like just as a collector item, you know?
I mean, as a collector's item, yes, right? But at the same time, if you're doing it for the nostalgia and you want to play the games and that's why you're doing it, don't do that. Buy a Super Nintendo gamepad, right? A USB gamepad. Spend your good money on that. Get yourself a decent controller and then buy a Raspberry Pi. You can do every bit of the same shit and a lot more with just a little bit of coding. Yeah, actually, no, you don't even have to do any coding. You have to burn an image to an SD card. Right, and that's it. Everything else, you download ROMs and you put them on a fucking flash card. Yeah, super simple stuff.
That kind of reminds me of like the Kodi, you know?
It is exactly like Kodi. Yeah.
What do they call it? The Fire Stick or whatever?
Well, you could do it on Fire Stick. Yeah, I have an actual machine. One of my server box runs Kodi.
Okay.
My server box that hosts all of the fucking servers I run runs Kodi.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna have a computer, why not?
Touche.
If I've got a screen, I try to put some cool shit on it. But yeah, dude, you would love my rig. I promise you. I've got 4 screens.
Yeah, man.
A TV, and one on the left, one on the right, and one on top. It's pretty dope.
See, look, dude, you're living the dream, man. You really are. Because, like me, I'm kind of like washed up, you know, kind of having to conform with my fucking single widescreen monitor, you know. I just whatever, dude.
You'll get there, man. Look, it's a cycle. We've discovered this. You and I have discovered that all things are cyclic. Right?
Yeah, well, we made a song about it, dude.
Yeah?
Spirals.
We haven't really discussed it, but we've, you know, yeah.
We didn't really need to.
Everything, yeah, it moves in a cycle, bro. You'll get back here.
It's self-evident, yeah. You know,
you're prestiging is what this is.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Through, I guess, Fibonacci sequence.
Back at level 1.
Yeah, but it's like, it's not just level 1, it's like playing a new game plus.
Yeah, this is fucking... Okay, so in Overwatch, when you hit level 100, it resets your rank to level 1. but you get to keep a different border around your name, so everybody knows that you're 101, right? But your level goes back to 1.
Okay, so it's like a Paragon style.
Right, it's the same fucking thing as Paragon, yeah. So that's it, yeah. You're prestiging. That's it.
I mean,
you're at 101. Well, probably at this point closer to like 700 something, and I'm like in the high 600s.
Well, shit, yeah. Dude. Well, I mean, that's kind of flattering, man. You know that what you just said, the prestige rank. They also have that in World of Warcraft as well, I believe. Like honor prestige. Mm-hmm. I think the furthest I ever got on my Death Knight was like prestige 2. But I've never
gotten that
far. I really just wanted the prestige 1 like achieved, so that way I could get that killer ass fucking like that. What do they call it? The executioner axe. That's like the sweetest looking fucking 2-handed axe in the game, and it's like it is solely like exclusive to the Death Knight class, because you know that's one of the class weapon skins. You know.
I haven't seen it, dude. It's been so long since I've played. When I played, I don't even know if there was a Death Knight class.
Okay, well, see that you played a very long time ago, because that's
I played when we were in high school, dude.
Yeah, that's Vanilla and Burning Crusade right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, but
I played more EverQuest than I did WoW, though.
And EverQuest too, man. Like that was its own thing, you know, and it was like bigger at the time, you know. Whereas World of Warcraft, I think it did what like EverQuest and like Neverwinter and Ultima Online did, but just made it more like accessible to like I guess kids, you know. And that's where we're at now with that game. The reason why I quit it is because I got to realizing, well, I already knew, but it was like a self like realization, that a constant self like reminding realization that I was playing a noob kid's fucking starter MMO game, you know. And
so here's the problem with that, dude. It's a feedback loop with yourself, right? You have to, when you can see through why you're getting the endorphins, right? So like with Overwatch, I know that I have days where I'm really good and really bad, right? And I know that I get the endorphins when I win. And I know that I only win if I'm playing really good. So if I'm having a bad day, I don't want to play Overwatch, right? If you can realize the same thing with games like that, that's why you want to quit them. You're like, fuck it, dude. It's a simple trap to release some endorphins. I can find a better way to release endorphins. That isn't this hit and miss.
There you go, dude. See, to add on to that though, like let's look at free time. Okay, you're using essentially all your free time playing a pre-programmed fucking video game where you don't have anything to show for in RL, and not only that, but the platform of the video game, the way it's set up, is to purposely get you to commit to, you know, leveling up or raising your rank, you know, which is what it's designed for everybody. So everybody's essentially doing the same goddamn thing over and over and wasting tons of fucking hours playing like a pre-programmed like digital surrogate, you know, almost replacement life. Because like games like that, you can't just like play for like 5, 10, 30 minutes even and walk away from it. You have to commit tremendous amounts of time.
Whole days, weeks. Yeah, dude.
Hundreds of hours. Hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands even. Depending on how dedicated you are.
We were talking in Overwatch a little while ago about different characters, right? And people are bragging, yeah, I've got 20 hours on Reinhardt. Dude, think about that. That means you have lived a whole day as that fucking character. You have spent an entire day's time fucking smashing people with hammers, right? That is a lot of time to commit to a video game. Not that I'm saying it's a bad thing. Like, if you want to get good at something, it takes time. So don't get it wrong. But with Overwatch, you're building a skill set. Not necessarily the one you'll use in the real world, but it's machine-level skills. Like, you've got to be able to, you know, turn and hit somebody without thinking about it, right?
Yeah,
you have
like
to be
muscle
able
memory.
to make those long shots. Yeah, you're building a skill there. With games like World of Warcraft, you're building a skill set on a character. You're not building skills that you can take to other games. That's why I feel like this is a bit better of an investment. Part of the reason I don't like MMOs in general is because they have a set defined path, right?
Exactly.
That's why I was so fucking stoked when I saw No Man's Sky. And then I played No Man's Sky, and I decided to fuck No Man's Sky.
But what you're talking about is the curse of best in slot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that is exactly it. And it's, a dude made me aware of this, and I fucking hate him for it. I was working at Dollar Tree at the time, and one of my employees was like, he was real big into Borderlands, right? And he was like, oh, I spec my character this way and this way and this way. He was one of those real big min-maxers, right? And I was like, dude, min-maxing is a garbage way to play a game. You're not actually experiencing the game. You're experiencing, statistics. And that's cool if that's what you're there for. That's not what I'm there for. I'm here for a story.
Right.
And he's like, oh, no, I get it. But I watch these YouTube videos, and they teach me how to do it. Motherfucker, if you are copying somebody's min-max, why the fuck even buy a $60 game?
Yeah, because you're doing what someone else already did.
Yeah, you're not doing anything new. Let me walk in your footsteps. Fuck that shit.
Dude.
All the games I play, the games that I enjoy, are sandbox games, right? Let me play with some Legos. Let me build a thing. Let me show you what I think. Let me show you what I want to do. I can't do that if I'm doing something that somebody else is doing.
Right. And even if
I can't express myself.
Even if you do express yourself, you're gonna get made fun of or be told that you're wrong because there's clearly a better way of doing it that's already been proven time and time and again through repetitive fucking testing and everything. The DPS meter fucking I forget what they call it, man, but they spend like tens of hundreds of hours just fucking attacking a dummy. And like you said, min-maxing. So it's like, even if you do go your own separate path, it will never be the most, effective path. And you're not going to be able to have fun knowing that,
Right.
Unless you're like a more classical, like, RPer. There are those, but let's be honest. If you're going to RP on a game like WoW, you're pretty much like a waste of fucking breath,
Right. That's why instead of installing and playing WoW, you see me setting up shows. I've set up an entire virtual world that I can build on an RP in if I want. I'm not going to bother going to World of Warcraft again. They want me to pay for that. Fuck you. I'm not going to pay so I can do something else that somebody else has done. The only games that will get me are not MMOs. I'll play the shit out of an RPG. Right? Watch Dogs 2, oh my god. If you haven't played those games, sir, you really ought to at least look it up. They are amazing, in my opinion. But they are an RPG. It's not, they kind of also encompass some MMO stuff, but not nearly to that degree.
Okay.
And it's a set storyline. You can't change the storyline, right? It's linear. But you also don't have to worry about people being like, oh, that gun can be better if, use a different gun or something, You don't have to worry about people criticizing your choices. I'm down with that. I like that. But,
Yeah, I hear that, man.
I'm not really into them.
And see, I was for the longest just because, in my opinion, it took, because, I was into RPGs as well. But it, took RPGs to the next level to where, you can compare and contrast it, against other people on a ladder, it's like you almost have something to show for, in the digital world as far as your pixels go. And,
kind of.
But everybody's trying to do the same thing. So it's like, who can get to the best in slot first? And can you even, and even if you were solely going for best in slot, you're always going to be at the mercy of RNG, of the RNG gods. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and at the end of the day, you're never going to be able to... That's been slot isn't going to be worth the amount of time you've poured into it.
Right, because to achieve best in slot status, you literally have to commit thousands of hours, like, unless you're just one lucky son of a bitch. And that's kind of unheard of, man. That's like one in, like, thousands,
At that point, if you're that lucky, you're doing the wrong thing.
Right,
Sorry,
exactly.
If
like,
you were that lucky, stop playing World of Warcraft. Have you considered lottery?
Thank you.
Like,
thank you.
Have you considered a career as a gambler?
It's essentially the same thing, but at the same token, you're losing more in the MMO experience because you're having to invest thousands of hours, man. Like, let's put a price on it. Any number. I say, like, the average hour of human activity or free time, I value it at about $50 an hour. Really, my price is probably close to like $999 an hour. But, just for like...
Let's go, you know what? Fuck all that. Let's just go with a generic cost, right? Like a minimum wage, okay?
Yeah,
From a working standpoint, let's say it's $8 an hour, okay? If you spend enough time to get a best in slot, you're going to at least put in a couple thousand hours. Like, legit. If I wanted the best fucking... I know in Overwatch, if I want a gold gun, in order to get to a gold gun, I've got to devote at least probably 200 to 300 hours in a single hero.
Whoa.
Right? Not including that's just getting good at the hero. That's that Dark Souls get good shit? Yeah. Dude, I've got a couple hundred hours on some characters. Like, it's
Bro,
not,
at $8 an hour.
I've been playing some beta.
At $8 an hour, 2,000 fucking hours. You just lost.
$1,600.
No, 16,000. Yes, dude. You just lost out of a potential 16,000 you could have made at minimum wage, dude.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you worked at minimum wage for that many hours, you would desperately need some sort of restitute. You would need some sort of thing to do. And would you spend $16,000 at that point in trying to make yourself feel better? And I think I would. Personally, I know myself. If I'm going to be working two jobs, if I'm going to be working that many hours, I'm going to be like, dude, I'm going to increase my fucking smoking, and I'm going to spend a shit ton more on whatever the fuck I want. Something to get me through the day.
Yeah. Well, you see,
if I increase my work, I increase my cost.
And
but that's just how I work.
But that's true. Like, just in any situation where a consumer is involved, if you're working, you have to consume to continue to work. You have to keep yourself nourished and hydrated. You're gonna have to keep yourself, the more you work, the more you're gonna wear your clothes out, your work clothes. So you're gonna have to buy more of those. So I mean, it's just like the cost. Just like there's a cost of living, there's a cost of working. Getting to and fro work and everything. And it's just and really, all it is, really, dude, is you're min-maxing in RL. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and part of the thing to think about there, like my mom a long time ago told me, what's the point of working if you don't get a chance to enjoy the money you earn? You know? And that's an entirely accurate statement. If I'm working my ass off to get some money, and then I don't get to spend the money at all, I'm not going to want to work my ass off. Like, you've got to see some sort of recompense for the effort you put in. And that's, for me, it gets, the ratio right now is perfect. I'm working 40 hours, I'm smoking 40 hours. Like, my life is pretty regular. But when I go back to school, I don't want to go back to work because I'm already busting my ass at school, but I'm not getting paid to go to school. You see, so it's a problem. I'm actually, technically speaking, I should quit my job so that I could get cheaper school, but I don't want to min-max.
Yeah, dude. You know what? I like that we're talking about this because I feel like we're able to apply like fun. We're talking about a very fun subject, which is online games.
Game theory.
Games and
theory.
What'd you call it?
Game theory.
Scheme theory?
That's what this game theory.
Oh, game theory. Oh, okay. Well,
that's what this is called.
This is, what this is? Okay, well, since you just call it game theory, isn't that what they call, like, what intelligence agents go into?
I mean, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm just, I mean, games in theory. I remember hearing that from Starship Troopers. That's what Neil Patrick Harris went into whenever he.
Okay, yes.
So I mean, yeah. See, look, we're increasing the meta here. We're getting nerdier, but we're at the same time we're applying like nerdy fucking references to RL applications, just like they're doing with, I guess, Kekistan, like we were talking earlier.
Yeah. Well, it's all about being able to bring something to be able to dissect something on a level that you understand best, right? So it's like that best in slot, except it's with processing. So in order for me to fully understand something, in order for something to not only make sense to me, but to a point where I can explain it to someone I care about, right? Then I have to consider it from a standpoint that I already understand. So that's when I'm creating a server, right? I figured out why I create servers. So I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but I create games and shit like that because it's a cost-free way for me to experience and solve problems with no repercussions. There's no risk of failure. If I can't manage to set up a server, if I can't manage to build a world for this game, there's no repercussions because I haven't disappointed anyone but myself, right? Whereas if I'm developing something for someone, there's a chance that if I don't get it right, I'm either going to get cussed out or they'll be disappointed in me or they'll be sad, and I don't want any of that. Yeah. So that shit's too great a problem to solve. I can easily sit here and focus on these problems that don't matter. That's why I do that, right? So in that same vein, if you consider taking those problems and applying them to regular everyday thoughts, it gives you a chance to understand it from a different view, and you can apply the same thoughts to everyday shit. So, like, I'm able to look at, with coppertop, right? That was looking at the universe through a different perspective, and I believe it started with us talking about video games, with me and MZ talking about video games. And then we talked about, I believe, handheld video games and batteries. We somehow got onto the topic of batteries.
Oh, shit. Sounds like you're going into the Matrix.
Right. From there, we worked our way into the actual coppertop theory. But you branch off things you already know. Inception did it really well. But you look at one thing, and then from there, you're like, okay, I can make this tangential to this thing. And how does it compare to that thing? And it helps you get a better, clearer understanding of the world around you. Well, at least that's how it works for me. I know I can fully understand something if I consider it from a viewpoint of something that I already fully understand.
For sure. I mean, that's just being able to, like, connect the dots, and have a point of reference. So,
coding languages, right? So, like, Java was really difficult to learn. But once I learned Java, I was able to understand how coding languages work and pick up Python in an afternoon. And now I have a full bot written in Python who can search Leafly for whatever strain I want. I can code in different languages because I learned the first one, and I'm able to look at these other languages and be like, okay, so it makes sense that the loop would do the same thing. You already understand some basic shit about it, and you're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
those rules apply here as well.
You have a foundation.
Yeah, you already get the basics, and you don't have to go in totally blind. So considering RL by looking at games and being like, hey, these simulations that we run for fun that are based on the real world, here's how shit works inside those. So would it be reasonable to expect, and that's not entirely wrong. It's a really good way. That's actually why video games are considered an educational tool.
Well, they're training like pilots on like VR software and shit, and computer like software,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think even like just military in general, like that like to play FPS games, it's like preliminary fucking like practice for like the RL game,
We can monitor battlefields with drone technology to watch the tactics of people engaging in real combat. We can use that drone footage to slowly but surely understand people's tactics, and we can use that to create better AI for shooting games. And then we can apply that to real world scenarios. That's our evolutionary path, man. That's how technology is symbiotic with us.
You know what? Okay, look. Let me pause you right there. You just said technology and symbiotic with us. Okay, look. Okay, look. We're getting into it, dude. We're digging further.
Okay.
Like you said, we're getting in our inception on, because it's like we're getting metaphysical and metadigital in the sense, because like we're digging like realm within the realm within the realm within the realm. You know, that's like Second Life and MMOs. You know, it's dangerous, because it's like a life within a life, a reality within reality itself, or at least as we perceive as reality. Anyway, okay, look, man, you gotta forgive me for going so fast, because I'm like on fucking sensory overload here. But look, all right. So what you were just saying about technology and the symbiotic relationship of us, it's starting to become. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's starting to become more and more self-evident that okay, man, I'm gonna like just take it to a whole nother level. You ever consider the possibility that this reality we perceive is like a digital interpretation or a program of some sort? That
is it a simulation? Is that what you're getting at?
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like,
and I think that it's very likely that it is.
It's telling on itself, because like technology started off so primitive, and here it is like in our face everywhere now that we're like, you know, like adults. And when we were kids, it was, you know, there were like Game Boys and shit still, and that's so primitive even compared to what's available now. You know, you can literally watch TV and play like 64-bit games on your phones now. You know, it's so like out of this fucking world. And not only that, but like supposedly technology is a lot further than what they sell us. You know, they're a lot more ahead of the curve, but they're slowly dishing it out to make the maximum. They're min-maxing profits. You know, so but.
So, hold on. Let me branch off of that real quick, right?
All right.
This is a simulation, right? And everything that we know is actually being generated inside of a simulation. Coppertop makes even more sense. Okay? Let's take this full circle. Let's consider coppertop for a moment. This transcendental energy that creates and is the universe, right?
Okay.
One of the things that makes the reason that we are co-evolutionarily tied to technology is because of our ability to manipulate electrons, right? That is literally the most unique thing about human beings. If you look around you right now, you have 1,000 little parks designed for electrons, right?
Right.
That's one way to consider it. So, our ability to generate things through electrons is what makes us unique. How do we create virtual worlds? Holy shit, man, it's through electrons. Computers are what we use to generate these simulations. Computers are powered by electrons. If our universe is a simulation inside of a computer, doesn't it only make sense that the deity that creates the world would be fucking electricity?
Yes, because it's like a product of, it's a replication, dude. It's an imitation. You know, that's what makes so much sense about it. And more and more, you know, there's talk about like integration of like biological integration of like human beings and cybernetic technology. You know, like, you know, now like it's like the Ghost in the Shell, dude. Becoming like Terminators almost, but like, you know, like maybe start off like more primitive, like semi. You know, you have like a robotic arm because you lost an arm, like in Star Wars, or like a leg or whatever, prosthetic legs, and then that evolves to the next thing. You know, like we're slowly becoming more and more ingrained in like the machines. You know, being machines, and we're already like biological machines. You know, we literally work like a fucking engine or like a car. You know, or an automobile. Whatever you want to.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think then, if you were to replace part of you, you're still the same person, right?
Okay, here we go. Okay, see, you're getting into philosophy now. That's philosophy right there.
Right. I'm getting to some philosophy because I want to show you something.
Okay.
So if I was to cut off my arm, would I still be the same person if I got a robotic arm?
But you see, of course, I want to say yes to that, you know, because
hold up. Because you would be the same person, right? Technically, the thoughts that you create wouldn't be impacted by the fact that you have an arm. Yourself would be the same person, am I right?
Right. Are you going to go into brain transplants now?
We're getting there.
Okay.
Yes. Not whole brain transplants. But let's start with a single neuron, right?
Right.
Let's start with that single neuron. If I replace one neuron, I'm still the same person. My thoughts are the same. My chemical composure is the same. I am the same person. If I replace all the neurons, somehow, one at a time, I personally believe, it is my belief, that I would be the same person. Because I think my consideration, going back to coppertop, of course, because, right, why not, is that our actual self is contained within the tiny bit of electricity that is in our brains. I think that is what makes us unique. And I think that that same energy could be considered a soul, especially if you consider it being tied back to coppertop itself, at the beginning of the universe. Right? I mean, does that make sense, or am I being totally stuck?
No, man, continue.
Okay, so, by that logic, right, if the energy within us is actually ourselves, I think it's kind of possible to take it to a transhuman level where you make a link between yourself and your thing. You know, you're passing your soul into these pieces. So I don't think that it's a bad thing to replace pieces of it. I think that it's evolutionarily the only place we could have gone. I think that becoming a machine is probably our ultimate evolution.
So you're talking about the future of humanity is to become the Cybermen.
No. The future of humanity is to build a simulation and live inside of it.
So basically upload consciousness to the simulation.
Yes. Our world, our universe is wrecked. It's going to end in an eventual heat death. We're all fucked. Period. If we achieve immortality, which we will, we are fucked.
Yeah, they say we should be able to reach it within the next 75 years.
Bro, I'm going to reach it within my lifetime. I have zero intention of dying.
So you're going to upload your consciousness to a computer is what you're saying?
If I have to suck Elon Musk's dick to do it, I will, yes. But I'm going to live in a computer before I die, period. When I die, it's going to be because I've ran out of cool ideas and I'm done. Let's move on.
But it may be possible you're already there, though. That we're all already there. Know what I'm saying?
So consider for a moment, if you will, then, if we are inside of a simulation,
like Inception,
with a finite amount of energy, because if it is a simulation, there are constraints on the outside. That's got to be. There's no way. Everything is limited. That's the idea, right? Okay. So there is some sort of constraint on the outside. Our universe is growing right now, but at some point it's going to hit a boundary. It has to. So if you consider there are limitations and there's a finite amount of sunlight, you can only use so much energy. The server that we would use to power ourselves should only use so much energy. All going to end in an eventual heat death. So if we build a server within a server that runs at a slower clock speed, we can not only achieve immortality, we can outlive the time we've been given.
Yeah, because it's like we're literally hacking existence.
That's it.
We're using code to build on code to build on code to we're getting into microseconds now, and micro, even smaller than that, almost like a very almost an infinite degree, or exactly an infinite degree, since we're dealing with numbers and programs here and coding. We can make it we can make it last forever. We can create forever within a non-forever plane, because we would never escape the moment, or maybe we would eventually, but it would just take a very long time.
I wrote a D&D program for Minecraft. I created a game to be played specifically inside of a game that I was playing. Okay, simulation within a simulation. Nested simulation is not outside outside of our limit of capability. Holy shit, dude, you saw it? I was playing YouTube inside Second Life.
Right.
Okay? That's one step away from going to a fucking Java page that's running Zork. You know? And running a game inside of a game. So if you can run the same simulation or something, some sort of similarity.
You could download Second Life in Second Life.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't work yet. But
not yet.
In theory, you could make it happen. You know, you could write a Second Life browser for Second Life. Maybe. You know, but the idea is if you can create a simulation that is at least a good facsimile of the simulation itself. So our games are getting to be so realistic now, that you can barely tell the difference between players and NPCs. The big difference between players and NPCs is players almost always have auto-run. But if you can create something that looks like a human and acts like a human in a digital space that's inconceivably different or that isn't different from a human in any real way, and it creates a simulation as well, then you know that's your purpose. You know? I think it's a thing.
Well, see,
I think that if we create a simulation inside every simulation, that's our purpose.
It's like how deep can you dig? You know, how low can you go?
We're allowing the universe to see itself on a base scale.
Well, that's what we're here. It makes sense because, we were thrown into this existence and now we're gonna dissect it.
Right. If coppertop wanted to learn about itself, that would be what it would do, right? Oh shit, I accidentally created everything. Well, time to figure it out.
Time to learn about it, yeah, exactly.
Oh, we don't have enough time? Well, fuck it. Let them create a simulation just like I did.
You know what that's called, right? That's called being God.
Yeah. Pro tip, if we achieve immortality and digital immortality, then we are gods. You can literally, part of the reason that I have Second Life set up is because I need to get my God fix. And that does it. That makes me feel like a god. Not only can I command everything, I can command everything on the internet. That makes me powerful, in my mind.
Well, yeah, man, because, I mean, what is like, okay, look, of course it says, you know, in the text, you know, God created man in his image. But on a more modern note, you know, what is a major defining trait of God? Well, to be a creator, right? Well, to be a creative person, we're essentially creators. Hence, we are a microform of what we perceive to be God, you know? But we are still a God in our own right. We are like a flesh God, a man God, you know? We have the creativity of a creator. Hence, we are a creator. Hence, we might be God or a God, you know?
So here's the thing, man. Have you ever met a creator who is an organized, cleanly person?
Organized, friendly person?
Cleanly, not friendly. Somebody who always has their shit clean, like never leaves a mess.
No, most creative people I know are quite fucking messy, including myself.
So how the fuck can cleanliness be next to godliness if God is a creator?
You know, I don't know who made that cliche statement, but you know, clearly they had their ego blown out of proportion, and they were probably a clean freak. You know, anybody could have said that. You know.
I'm just saying, I don't think God would be a cleanly person. I mean, to be honest, our simulation, he took the messiest route possible. I mean, sex is not clean. You know.
I mean, unless you do it in the shower.
No, even shower sex gets messy if you do it right.
Well, shit, man. I don't know what kind of showers you're taking, but I can imagine.
But yeah, man, like that's, you know, people are presumptuous, assuming they know what God is like.
No.
I think coppertop is a pretty solid theory personally, but I smoke a lot of weed.
No, see, feel free to elaborate as much as you want on coppertop because I'm definitely into it, man, and
read that paper, dude.
I will, dude.
Tell you everything.
I'll post a link to it too, because full disclosure, Steve, don't feel deceived, please. But like, we got to talking, man, and as soon as we started getting like a little weird, a little meta, I straight up opened Audacity and put you on speakerphone and pressed record, man, because
it's all good, man.
I'm trying to. I'm a caster.
Not my name. Give me a different name. But
okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to call you what you are, man. You're Deiphage.
There you go. That'll work.
That'll work. I feel like if I weren't to tell you by the end of this conversation, then I would be deceiving you. Like, if you were to tell me, hey, man, I don't mind having a conversation, but you cannot post this, I would have to respect your wishes just as a friend,
I'm not going to do that, though. This is a creative thing, man. I have absolutely no problem sharing with you. If you want to, actually, let me wait. Check the names on that thing, but don't post a link to the coppertop stuff, or copy it and post a link elsewhere.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that way it doesn't have the last names.
If you do post it, kill the names. Or change into something else. But yeah, man, I got no problem sharing for that, yeah.
Yeah, because
like a podcast or something?
That's exactly it, man. I don't have a name for it just yet. I'm thinking about calling it the 11th hour. But
hey, use some of my music.
Of course, I want to incorporate, like, I want to use it as a source of like being accessibility. But for like maybe that which is so estranged that it's not readily available and accessible to the masses. I want to create. Right. I want to fill in that void. That's what my purpose is. I am of the void, man, and I have to fill it. You know what I'm saying? Just like the universe is expanding, I have to, whatever void there is, I'm naturally drawn to. That's why a lot of my music is like kind of like atonal and non-rhythmic and nonsensical, because I don't hear anything else like that. The closest to what I hear that's conventional to what I do is jazz, and that's not even nearly close to what I do, because jazz is still trying to like be like rhythmic and trying to like somehow work, whereas me, it's a little bit more on the chaotic and rebellious side of it all. It's not trying to work, but it just does.
Have I talked to you about the evolution of music yet?
Not for some time. I'd be interested in going down that rabbit hole as well, man, because it's all tied together. It's all relevant, in what we're doing.
You got some time for it?
Dude, I'm at work right now as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. So, one of the things that I've been considering a lot lately is dubstep, right? Well, not lately, but, it's been a long time. So, dubstep is actually, if you dig deep enough, a lot of it's based on breakbeats. Stuff from older, like, records and shit, and it's really the same beat over and over again. It's called the Amen break. And you might do some research on that. There's a whole fucking shit ton of stuff about it. But it's one break beat from one album that people have chopped and screwed 1,000 different times. And it's the most common beat in history. Actually, let me see if I can play it for you real quick. It's the Amen break. It's super. I've got like.
Hey, play a couple examples if you want. I'm gonna go and fetch a glass of water real quick.
Okay, yeah. So, the Amen break. So yeah, there's three different versions of it. But it's a very simple break, right?
Yeah.
Did you hear it? I'll play it again if you want.
You can. Let's do it for redundancy.
Here you go. That was the normal, this is fast, and then the most common. So those drums right there are the most used drums in all media, right?
Reminds me of like
very short drum.
Aphex Twins or something.
That they use it. A lot of people use it. It is the most eventually Google it, but the history of the amen break in drum and bass is super deep. Goes with hip hop too, but that's where a lot of dubstep came from. I think personally, that's where I feel like the dubstep is. But they took the same song, the same sound, the same 6 seconds, and would loop that into whole songs by making it a little bit different, right? I like the way this feels. Now, I don't give a shit if everybody else does. I like the way this feels.
It resonates with you.
It's masturbatory. All of dubstep is masturbatory. You don't create a dubstep song because you want to please an audience. If you create a dubstep song, it's because you like the way something sounds.
It's like music for the musician.
Yeah. So like the heavy lo-fi fucking wubs that they put in there, like that it's a half a second sound that they're repeating repeatedly. That's what they like. It's masturbatory. I like this exact specific thing. Let me do that 12 times.
Wait, masturbatory? You mean like licking your own fucking shit?
I mean, like, dude, like, the whole thing is, like, fucking jerking it, right? I like the way this specific thing feels. I don't give a shit if anybody else likes it. I'm doing this for me. That's pretty much how my entire musical experience is done, right? I don't write music for the masses. I write music because it's what I want to hear.
Well, if you write music for the masses, you're a pop artist at best.
Right. Well, here's the thing: these fucking pop artists are taking this masturbatory art form and making it for everyone. It's kind of weird, man. They're taking this thing that, like, yeah, I like the way this specific sound plays in my ear. I'm going to play it 12 times. Like, okay, here's a great example. Have you heard Mask Off by Future?
No, I haven't.
Well, now you've heard half the lyrics.
Really?
Literally, Mask Off, right? So check this out. Let's hop in. Half the fucking song is him saying, mask off, fuck it, mask off. Right? It's very masturbatory. I like the way that sounds to my ear. I like the way this one piece of melody fits this beat. I'm going to make a whole 3-minute song out of it.
You know what?
I like the way this sound.
That's the same thing, I think that Lil Yachty dude does, they call it mumble rap.
Yeah. So I do the same thing. I'm super fucking guilty of it. Every one of my tracks that I'm super proud of, you'll notice it's one of my big style traits, man. I'll put the vocals on there, and then I'll chop them up. It's not even vocals. It's a clip of somebody saying something, and I chop it up until it feels like vocals.
You know what?
Right?
Kind of like your song, Generic Techno Song, dude, which is my favorite song on that album, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So that song actually uses vocals from a YouTube video. It's called Shit That No ADHD Person Would Say. Right?
Let's just do it the same way we've been doing it.
Yeah. I'm out of fresh ideas. Let's do it the way everyone else does it. Yeah, that's shit no ADHD person would ever say, right? It's pretty dope. But yeah, I take that same fucking thing and just repeat it over and over again and beat the same fucking thing to death. That's why all of my tracks are a minute or 2 minutes or, really short, but loopable.
That song in particular is like a mockery, but it like...
That song it's ironic. That's the idea.
It's very ironic.
That's why I named it that way.
Way to be a hipster, Deiphage.
Right.
No, but this is beyond hipsterism, man, because we've been doing this before the hipster fucking, rose to being.
It's meta, dude. But that's the idea.
Or I guess...
And it fits with music. It's with everything, right? That's how people are communicating now. Memes, right? Half of people get their news from YouTube now. Well, probably more than that, I would say.
Yeah,
a substantial amount of our generation gets their news from YouTube because they like the way that the short videos fit into their schedule. I like the way this one specific thing is. Let me alter my schedule to fit.
Like alternative media outlets.
Well, that's the way that we're evolving, though, right? We're finding specific things that we like, and that we enjoy the way it feels, and we form our whole fucking world around it.
So we put it on blast.
Yeah, man. Well, like before we had things like streaming video, before we had things like YouTube, we didn't have high-speed internet. And yeah, part of it is, well, these things became available because high-speed internet came into the picture. But since then, high-speed internet has been developed to handle the load that things like this are putting out there.
Brother, you're talking to someone who started off at 28K, dude.
14. But I also remember when they handed out internet on CD for free at Kmart. So,
oh yeah, the blue light specials?
Yes, sir, the blue light specials. Yeah. But no, what I'm saying though, man, is that's how we're evolving on a person-to-person basis, and it makes sense, right? But when you actually look at it, that's also how we're evolving alongside technology. We've mastered the ability to control electrons. That is what all of our fucking life is now. You can't go somewhere without seeing electricity at this point. And everything we have electric is just us mastering fucking passing electrons. We're evolving better ways to move these electrons. We're evolving ways to make these electrons be able to move in a fashion to make other electrons move in a fashion. We're building machines that build machines now.
Automation.
Technology is our evolutionary future. And it's literally the only thing standing, well, in my opinion, it's one of the only things standing between us and not being human. I think technology makes us more human than the other way around.
Really?
I feel like, yeah, honestly, I feel like in order to be fully human, you don't need the meatbag experience. Human is being able to solve a problem using a tool, something you made, or something that people have passed down. Being human is being able to take in information and process it and solve problems. We do all of that better digitally now than we ever have before. And I feel like the human experience can be better portrayed without the flashback getting in the way. If you had an option to be just digital, right, in a fully functional simulation, where you could turn off pain if you felt like it, you would take it, right?
Well, I mean, it would literally be like going to like a self-created paradise,
Cheat codes, bro. Real life, but with cheat codes.
Exactly.
That is our evolutionary future, and that's what I want to achieve.
Infinite lives, infinite health, everything.
Yeah, dude. Or the ability to turn off PvP. Like, how fucking cool would that be, right? I don't have to worry about somebody murdering me on the street because I live in a no PvP parcel.
Right.
How fucking dope would that be? Well, I don't have to worry about people stealing my shit because I've locked it to my parcel. That's the world I want, man.
It's more efficient in a way.
Yeah. And I feel like once we can shove off these flashbacks, we can achieve that. Elon Musk right now is working on a brain mesh technology. You heard anything about that?
I mean, the furthest I've heard about it was like they're starting to like perform like phase 1 like fucking brain transplants now.
So what Elon Musk is doing right now, they've invented this weed. It's a synthetic mesh. And the idea is that they can place it along the back of your brain. Right? They drill a tiny hole, inject this stuff, and expand it across your brain. It lays against your brain, and it's able to, one, receive input through intercepting the electric current, and two, alter it. by injecting you, right? Everybody's afraid of this technology. Like, well, I don't know about everybody. It's hard to say. A lot of the people I have seen are terrified of this technology. They think that it's a bad idea because, they're going to force it on people and market a beast, and they're going to use it to control people.
Yeah.
How happy would you be in a world, though, where you could literally, through clicking your phone, turn off your depression? I mean, dude, oh my God. The kind of world that I want to live in, that is one of the things you need, right? The ability to control your everything.
Right.
Like your own thoughts by pressing a button. I don't want to be sad today. Fuck it. We're not going to. You know? Being able to be a master over yourself, that's what that would achieve. That would unlock godhood. But nobody's talking about it because they're afraid of it. They're afraid that it'll be used to control people. The truth is, if we make the technology open source, there are people who will try to use it to control people, right? If you make something open source and everybody puts the effort into developing it together, you don't have to worry about it because the security is going to get upgraded on the way with it. Everybody's afraid of that? Yeah, we're going to focus on fixing that. We're going to bug test it before people get out there and decide to set up some zero days. You know?
It's literally almost like a war of mental attrition.
Yes. Yes, sir. If Elon Musk gets the brain meshes to work, that's the first step. We don't have to worry about this what is essentially augmented virtual reality, right? We don't have to worry about the meat bag interference that we would run. If you can keep a brain submerged in enough nutrients to stay alive, if you can keep a brain moving without a body, you slap one of those patches on it, keep it living a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand years, that's what I want. I don't need the body. I literally only need the brain because it's what holds my electricity.
Well, funny you should say that. I remember reading an article somewhere that they're talking about like being able to upload a digital copy of your brain onto like a computer.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't even need the brain itself.
Here's the problem with that. If I upload a digital copy of my brain, I'm experiencing still through my brain. Right? You need to find a way to shove off the meat. To no longer have to experience things through this, right? So we know that it's because of our brain that we're able to hold memories and to understand things and to experience things, right? That's all because of our brain. Literally everything we do is because of our brain. But if you were able to make a technological equivalent to a brain, right, that could store all of your memories, could process all of your information, but didn't have to rely on faulty human hardware, and you literally just upload your current and essentially your soul, right? Which, if you read the thing that I sent you, electricity. You upload your electricity to it, and you live in that. You don't need the physical form. You can create the simulation. You can create a physical form inside of it. You know? There are, of course, some very scary implications with that, though. Like, for instance, if you get electrocuted, right? If electricity is your soul, and you get electrocuted, and say 10,000 volts pass through you, your electricity might have changed. Composition's definitely weird. You know? What happens if you do upload yourself? And that electricity, the moment you plug it in, right? If I uploaded myself to, say, a computer, like, I know it's really weird and meta, but if I uploaded myself to a computer and plugged that computer into the current circuit, right? Plug it into a wall. The electricity that I consider to be myself, according to the paper I wrote, would literally go directly into the wall and back to the power plant. Right? Because that's how electrons work. Where would I be then? I I wouldn't be in the computer. I wouldn't be in the hardware I design. I would be everywhere. Would I be dead? I don't know.
You know, the thing about that is there's a lot of speculation that we're all kind of like the same person, you know, like the same entity experiencing itself in different variants, you know, varied forms.
Oh yeah, okay.
So if we were to, man, this kind of like goes against what I'm kind of like about. So I'm kind of stepping into like kind of a gray area even for me, but a collective consciousness, yeah.
Okay. That's not a bad concept either. You know, there's a lot to be said for that. But one person, well, that, to a degree, right? That's kind of what I was talking about with coppertop. Being able to experience itself as human.
Subjectively.
Right? Through a simulation. So they can fully understand what's happened. And then us creating simulations in which we, you know, take our time to fully understand our simulation. You know, so on and so forth.
But then this is where you get into like invasion of privacy and everything else.
Well, hold on though. If okay, so assuming coppertop, right? Because that's where my mind's at right now. Assuming coppertop exists, and we actually were able to create a simulation, and all of us were able to upload ourselves to the simulation. And we're an electrical current running through a box that is a simulation. Well, no, we would be electrical current everywhere. And if coppertop himself is electrical current, at that point we would have achieved full circle.
Makes sense.
Well, full circle will be the eventual heat death of the universe. Right? When all of the energy that's in the universe has been fully extended.
Yeah, everything's depleted, nothing's left but like dust and radiation and empty space.
Right. My theory is that coppertop exists there as well. But that's just our end goal is to prevent that from happening, probably through either a series of simulations or, you know, nesting the energy and retrieving as much of it as we can on that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Just some philosophy, right?
I dig it, dude. I think it's all relevant. There's it's definitely a different angle of perception. You know, it's not wrong. It's just a different point of view. It's definitely part of like, you know, it's meta in the sense that it is something within the greater picture, just like everything you see around you. Even this end of the universe that we're talking about, where there's nothing but radiation, black holes, and dust. That's already here, like in a higher dimension. You know, that's already here. That's the end of the track. You know what I'm saying? That is where it ends. So we're already like a part of that song. That universe, that verse, the song, you know, it's a lot of things they kind of strike chords or strings even. So you got string theory in play as well. It's all tied together. So we're a part of that giant, like, I guess, divine song. So the end is already here, and so is the beginning. It's already here. Like, we're a part of it already. It's like one giant, like, entity. And I guess maybe that's what a lot of people call God. I'm not sure. But, I mean, to me, it's the most tangible thing or, like, concept to God. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
So here's, right? If the universe is made of energy, and it is a simulation, it kind of makes sense that it would work this way, because there's only a finite amount of energy, right? And it can't be created or destroyed. So through heat death, all of the energy has been dispersed. It's far as it can go, right? Separated from itself until energy just sort of stops. Well, that energy is still somewhere. And if it's transcendental, as I've suggested, it exists at both the beginning and the end of the universe, all of the energy would be enough to kickstart the universe. It would be enough to collapse the singularity in the very beginning and start the Big Bang. So heat death is literally just the universe's way of recharging before it begins itself in the beginning. Because you have to exist at boundaries outside of time. Does that make sense?
This is what we talked about, I think 15 years ago, Deiphage, what you call it, I mean, you know, and there's even like scientific explanations for that. You know, it's, you know, the energy has to go somewhere, and when it eventually goes back to zero, where it eventually continues the cycle, and that makes sense in like just the way our visible universe is mapped out. You know, everything's kind of like everything's in a spiral motion, and big things make up little things, and big things and little things are made up of even smaller things. So it's basically infinity.
Well, the universe is cyclic. We've proven that. I mean, like everything. Well, it's hard to say the universe. Nature itself is cyclic, though. Everything in nature exists in a cycle, and I don't think the universe is an exception. I think the universe itself is a cycle as well. And it would be a cycle of energy. You know, energy that expands and contracts. It contracts in the beginning to collapse the singularity by creating two photons. Well, positron, anyway. I'm too stoned to think about the particle physics, but it creates a positron and a negatron, which positron and hang on. Is it positron? Shit, dude, I've been outside of school. Anyway, the idea is that the energy itself can collapse to make a positron and an electron. You can actually, energy can exist as photon. Through photon pair production. So you basically make two photons collide in the right circumstances, it creates an electron and a positron. That means that energy can create matter. If you create an electron and a positron, you can create two more, and then you can create helium. Once you've created helium and you compress it far enough to the beginning of the universe, you know? Because you can actually take a positron and make it into a neutron if you do it right. It's through a chain reaction that starts with the anyway, I'm not going to go through all the part of it, but it could totally create the Big Bang.
Well, yeah, didn't they recreate the Big Bang in a giant like machine or facility over in Europe?
Not quite. That's part of it, right? The CERN Large Hadron Collider is what we're talking about, and it's pretty simple when you actually look at it, like from a bystander side point. Like they basically shoot two lasers at each other, if I understand it correctly, or two photons. And when they collide, it makes, like I was saying, an electron and a positron. And that's where we get, some of the proof. But they can also, they fire tiny particles at each other to figure out what they make, essentially. That's what the Hadron Collider is. And they recently made a God particle or something like that. And I didn't fully catch that. We'd have to look it up and see what's up with that. But, yeah. I mean, it's the same technology.
But it's like...
Honestly, the thing that scares me the most... Well, it doesn't scare me, but the thing that, leads me to believe that we are co-evolutionarily tied to technology, the fact that we're, so energy dependent, right? Even without our creature companies, humans naturally need food. energy has to be used to create the food, no matter what kind of food it is. We are dependent on energy from a natural state.
You know what?
And the only evolution of that is we're taking those electrons now, and instead of just applying them to keeping ourselves alive, we're applying them to keeping ourselves comfortable. It's the next state. That's what technology is. It's the same thing. The repurposing of energy into something that's going to help us repurpose energy back.
Yeah, I mean, I want to add to that actually. Like the whole fact that they're always like trying to recommend us to drink more water, and that we're supposedly 75% made up of water. That just makes us a better a better conductor of electricity.
That's actually, I mean, you're not wrong. That's part of it. You don't want, so staying hydrated is kind of important, right? Not necessarily as important as they make it sound. But, sorry. One of the things that you kind of have to consider there is that our cells need water to survive, right? And it's basically so that they can continue to pass proteins back and forth that they need to continue to live and grow. Well, when you actually take water apart, it's a great medium because of the way that it moves. Water is one of the, liquid water specifically, is one of the few things that is cohesive but not adding to itself. Water, so water droplets, right? Surface tension, stuff like that. You don't see that in non-liquids. And part of it is because of the way that hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen has these loose bonds that are still there, but they don't stop it from bonding with other things. Hydrogen is just a proton. It is basically energy. When you break it down, it's as close as you can get to just having the electron.
Yeah, isn't it a single proton?
I think it's a proton and an electron. I think. But I could be wrong. It might just be a single proton.
Well, I mean,
proton and one electron.
Yeah, what I mean to say is it's the first element of the periodic table of elements. It's number one.
There's no neutron there. Yes, it's a proton.
Atomic number one.
Single proton. Yes.
Okay.
The one, of course, being for its atomic weight and the electron, right? So that one electron, that right there is what's important, right? Water, hydrogen, everything comes down to that electron. Without that electron, hydrogen doesn't bond right. Hydrogen wouldn't be able to bond with anything else if it didn't have the electron. Well, it'd be able to bond with other things, but without the electron, it doesn't bond to itself.
Right? That's just the positive and negative polarities being attracted to one another. Just like in electronics.
Well, hold up though. Let's take this full circle, right? That means that electron right there is the reason that we are able to survive. That's life. That electron is life. So all of our technology, all of our everything is designed around our ability to manipulate electronics through the processing of electrons. Our ability to stay alive is based around that electron. Our ability to do everything we do is based around that electron. So it's like electrons are energy, man, and if that energy is transcendental, then hey, that makes sense because that's God. That's the beginning and end. That's everything.
It is transcendental because supposedly it's not like static. The electron doesn't stay like rotating around the one proton. I've read that.
You can't pinpoint it. It exists in all positions at the same time.
Right, and the electron cloud.
And, yes. But, that's just my theory. Well, no, it's not even a theory. That's my hypothesis, rather. It's not provable at this point, Not something that... And honestly, it's a pretty absurd thing. But I'm sure it can't all be wrong. I don't think it's all wrong. I think that there's at least a little truth there, and I can't imagine that we're far from it. You know?
I mean, it's. I feel like the reason why I'm so intrigued by it is because there's definitely you're definitely striking a lot of chords, that resonate with me. I tend to pick up on truth, and I tend to I can see past things that don't make sense, lies, distractions. But there's a lot of what you're saying that it has a lot of it has a lot of relevance to it, and it's resonating with me. So I mean, the fact that I can pick up on that and kind of process it and make sense of it, through like just a regular logical brain practice or thought process, it makes sense. And the fact that I feel like it makes sense, it doesn't necessarily prove it to be absolutely true, but there's definitely truth to it,
Right, and that's the problem. The real problem with information right now is that things can look extremely logical and still be wrong. And that's part of the reason I haven't really spread this around. Is I'm afraid to put my name on it. That, and if it is a thing, I really don't want it to become a religion. That's what me and MZ were talking about, man. I swear, I told him up and down, I was like, dude, I don't want to commit this to paper. I'm literally afraid to, because if for some reason it becomes a religious doctrine somewhere down the road, even if I only show it to 2 or 3 people and one of them's like, yeah, I like the idea of this, and somehow through fucking butterfly effect it winds up becoming a religion, and they do one crusade, that's an infinite amount of blood on my hands that I don't want. I don't want to be responsible for the persecution of anybody. If I'm going to persecute somebody, it's going to be very direct and intensive and on purpose. I don't want to accidentally persecute anybody.
Right.
Save the persecution for the people that deserve it. But I don't want my thought, my brainchild, something that I've worked on, to be a grounds for discrimination. And I think that if it was taken up as a religious doctrine, it could definitely lead to some very bitter conversations,
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is, it's meant as a philosophical bridge for science and religion. That was the whole purpose of it at the beginning. I was trying to find a way that we could talk about God through science, so that I could be like, look, Christians, shut the fuck up, we're considering it, we're using this in our science to consider other things, so we can move along. Not as finishing it. It was never meant to be a finished idea, but it kind of wound up becoming that.
Look.
Kind of wound up polishing itself,
Right. I wouldn't worry too much about the future repercussions, man, because really, I'm not saying to be irresponsible by any means or be inconsiderate, but at the same time, a lot of that's kind of like beyond your control, at least in this moment. All we're doing is we're trying to push the envelope. We're trying to push humanity forward, And from the sounds of it, like you seem like a transhumanist. So
oh yeah, most definitely, dude. I'm only attached to this meat sack until I can get some crumbs.
Exactly.
Very little regard for my physical body. I feel like it's betrayed me on more than one occasion. I'm only attached to it because I literally have to.
Yeah, and not only that, but being like stuck in as you, to quote you, a meat bag. It has its limitations. So
well, and truthfully, man, when you consider it, this is the least creative form that I could take. Don't get me wrong, man. Being a white male, great, absolutely amazing. But I'm a creative person. I want to be able to experience everything, and that includes some hardships occasionally. This is the least difficult mode I could play this on. If we're just using humans, right? If I'm just human, I'm playing this on Please Don't Hurt Me. Like, come on. give me some sort of disability and let me replace it with a machine, and then we'll play.
Well, I think.
Why is your dick able to drill holes? Well, you see, funny story. I got it caught in a blender one time, right? But I replaced it. This one, 100 times better, and I can piss laser beams. You know, like having a robot dick wouldn't be terrible.
You know,
what you really need.
And that's just taking it to like a more, I don't want to say absurd level, but you know, I mean that could actually be kind of, you know, I mean, I know this now we're playing off of a dick joke, but that could be kind of innovative in its own right, you know, in some way, somehow, you know, I can't tell you right now.
So right now, the way that we physically exist, there are people who are making modifications to their body, right? And it's considered totally normal. People get their clits pierced occasionally, yeah, it's a little wild. But pierced nipples, that's standard now, right? Standard thing. Nobody's surprised to see pierced nipples. Unless it's on a nun. If it's on a nun, that's a whole other thing. But body piercings are pretty regular now, right? There are people people all over. Actual people that are called biohackers. You heard about these people? Pretty neat.
Yeah,
I considered some of it myself. So some of the things they do, like they will make incisions. One of them that I thought was really neat. They made an incision behind her ear, okay, and inserted a tiny magnet, and did one on each side. She's able to feel the pull of that magnet in a magnetic field. So she's able to tell which direction is north. Gave herself a new sense. There's a dude who did the same thing, but in his finger. He can run it over wires and tell which wires are live and not because of the magnetic current they create. Okay. He can feel live wires.
So they're already doing like transhuman modifications, but like on a very small scale.
I have a brilliant idea, and I can't find anybody ballsy enough to do the research with me. I want to make a tattoo ink that is magnetic. A ferromagnetic tattoo ink that you can put in your body.
Like a circuit board.
So you don't have to make an incision, right? You don't have to have a surgery to put a magnet in it, because there are issues with it. Don't want to be too disgusting, and it will make you cringe. If you think about it too much, so try not to. Now that I've told you, you will. The dude who put the magnet in his finger experienced some really uncomfortable shit when he put it near a magnet of the same polarity and it flipped inside of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to experience that, but if I can get a ferromagnetic fluid and tattoo it into my skin, it won't flip. And if it does, it'll be on a micro level and it won't mess with it. But I can still feel the pull and tug of magnetic things, I would imagine. That's a skill that I would really like. You know, put it on your finger. Put it in your fingerprint. A mark of the beast, whatever, dude. I'm a beast. Fuck it. But, like, being able to give yourself a magnetic tattoo, that there shouldn't be so much pushback against progress. And I understand why there are laws against it. Right? I understand why there are laws against, you know, you don't want people randomly putting shit in their body. That's a bad idea. However, stifling innovation because of somebody else's fear of what you're going to do to yourself, that's a little absurd, I feel like. You know, I don't like those limitations. If I feel like, you know, if I felt like I could be a better human by cutting off one of my toes, there shouldn't be anyone trying to stop me. Like, yeah, it's a bad idea, Steve. You shouldn't cut off your toes. But if that's what it takes for you to be the best you, in your opinion, I mean, I guess. You're not going to hurt anybody else, and it's your toe? Okay.
Isn't there a name for that? For people who purposely make themselves disabled because they're like transabled or something?
That wasn't what I was talking about specifically. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're talking about. I don't know the word for it.
I think it's transabled.
Yeah, I think you're right, transabled. Yeah, no, I was just not interested in that. That seems kind of sketchy. The beauty of living in a simulation like Second Life, though, is that you can have a disabled avatar if you want. You know, and it doesn't change anything except for your gaming experience. You don't physically, and you can change back at any time. That's why I want to push for a digital future. I want a simulation that I can change.
It's like Total Recall, in a sense.
I want source code. I want source code. Give me access to my source. That's what I want. Put me in a world where I'm unable to distinguish reality and what I'm in, right? Where I'm not able to think back to the physical form that I have now. Sure, let me remember it or whatever, but don't let me realize that I'm there. I want fully immersed in a world where I have source. That's what I want.
And you know what? By saying that, you're basically saying all you want is to be closer to God.
All I want is everything. In all reality, that's it. All I want is everything. I want the ability to everything. I want freedom. And
that's like absolute freedom.
That is absolute freedom, yes. I think that's probably, without getting too personal, this is probably a big source of my anxiety, right? I have, in my own imagination, glimpsed true freedom. And I am absolutely anxious that I'll never be able to achieve it in my lifetime. And I have this full faith in humanity that we'll be able to achieve immortality in my lifetime. But I'm still afraid that I'll never be able to achieve absolute freedom. That's what scares me, but I can glimpse it, right? I can catch this fleeting glimpse of what it might feel like. That's the curse of being a creative person. You have this wonderful imagination, this wonderful gift to imagine these complex fantasies and all of the things that would happen. But you have absolutely no power to control the world that you're in. I am, in my mind, I am fucking omnipowerful. I can do everything, right? I am an omnipotent force. But here I'm powerless. I'm a fistful of flesh trying to push electrons around. But in my brain, fuck, I don't need to do that because I can concern myself with things that are much bigger.
Yeah.
That's the creative limit right there.
I see where you're coming from.
It's frustrating.
You want to be
really is.
You want to be more efficient and you want to be more free. You don't want to be held under any statute of limitations, including physical ones.
This will sound egotistical, and I don't mean for it to, right? Given enough time, I can solve any problem that humanity will ever face. Period. Given enough time, and the ability to not have to focus on my own physical needs. If I can devote all of my energy and all of my brain power to a single problem, I have 0% imagination that I will fail on it. If I am able to devote my whole being to something, there is a 0% likelihood that I will fail at it. At least that's my current outlook, right? If I consider, one of them that I've been tackling right now is pollution, right? Just in my spare time. Just because. I've developed these Zeppelin that would be super light. They would go up there based on an Arduino, and they have these massive IVs on the inside. IVs are lightweight, and they absorb a large amount of carbon dioxide, right? So you run them, and they float up in the sky. They absorb as much carbon as they can handle until the difference in weight causes them to sink. Once they start sinking, the Arduino begins a program descent, and it moves them to a place where you collect the carbon, you use it as a casing for radioactive diamond batteries. That's how you take care of the nuclear problem, where we have all of this waste left over from nuclear fusion. You literally take that and you make tiny diamond batteries. By compressing it with this carbon until it forms a diamond casing, then you can tap into that energy without it being radioactive anymore. They're doing it in Sweden already. You can do the same thing with carbon harvested from the sky, solve global environmental disasters, fix the sea because our sea is becoming acidic because of it, right? You can solve all these problems with this, right? It's not a foolproof solution. It's one person's idea, though, and it's one way to make things a little bit better. If we could all attribute all of our brain power to any one problem, we could solve it instantaneously, guaranteed.
Yeah,
and
man.
that's just me. That's one on a planet of what, 7-something billion now? Yeah, we can solve any problem. We just need to get rid of this problem, which is the physical need. If we were to upload our consciousness into a digital space where we didn't have physical needs, where time was no longer irrelevant, we were only limited by our CPU speed, right? We would, number one, invent CPUs that didn't have to worry about speed. And then number two, we would solve all of our problems. I mean, how can you not want that world? You know, once you've experienced it through your own imagination, once you've imagined it, once you know that that kind of potential exists if people would just get their fucking shit together, how can you not want something better for humanity? You know? And it's that discordance between the future that you feel, the future you can imagine, and the future you see, and the shit that's happening now that causes people like me to take anxiety medication, right? I'm able to glimpse that future. I'm able to imagine a world where all of those things are entirely possible, where we can solve all of humanity's woes. And then I'm snapped back to a world where the president has a fucking piss tape in Russia that we're all worried about or something.
Thank you.
We can't get our shit together enough to stop globalized problems. Okay.
Dude, that is...
out of the Paris Climate Accords? But I can solve this problem if we put our minds to it. No? Okay.
That is exactly what I'm talking about, man. What I was telling you about earlier, why I was kind of like a little like, you know, like my energy got a little depleted earlier because like I said, I was kind of being like you know, admittedly kind of a keyboard warrior or whatever, you know, but it's just because like I'm just trying to communicate like maybe the unconventional ideals to the masses, just because like everyone is stuck in this left right polarity, you know, politically, and they're just.
It doesn't matter anyway, right? You can have your political beliefs, but unless you act on them, it doesn't matter. Even if, like, I'm not just saying voting, right? So I have these wild political beliefs. I don't think that communism is right. I don't think it's exactly what things need to happen, but I believe that people can get beyond a political structure. I don't believe that there's a necessary requirement for government if you have people of similar ideas. It's a little bit closer to tribalism, probably, in all actuality, but I don't think that needs to happen either. You know, I think that if you were able to get rid of greed, and if you were able to, once we're able to solve global economics and get rid of hunger and develop a world where need isn't a problem anymore, you know, maybe like that digital one I talked about, government isn't going to be a thing. Nobody gives a shit what you do with resources if resources are in. The only governing laws would be, hey, don't be a dick to other people. And if you're going to troll, do it tastefully. Otherwise, the white knights will come and get you. You know, they don't... Part of the reason the internet is such a great place for me is because at this point, right now, in our history at least, really aren't a lot of rules. You know, there are rules that are slightly enforced. Yeah, if you do bad things, they'll ban you, right? Or you'll get taken away. But at the same time, you know, if you want to put your words out there, if you want to express yourself and create a website, nobody limits what you can do. There's that glimpse of freedom again, you know? Nobody stops you from doing whatever you want right there. That's that glimpse of freedom. And it's really fucking powerful. But there, like I was saying, there's that discordance when you snap back to reality. You know, yeah, right there, I'm omnipotent. I can learn anything. I can gather whatever information I need to make myself better. However, the real world right now is trickling into my internet. There are motherfuckers trying to say that two-tiered internet is better, allowing corporations to control the flow of internet.
Wait, so are you talking about net neutrality?
Yes, sir. Tell me that's not a big problem. They talk about diplomatic issues. That's what scares me. Net neutrality, oh my god. Net neutrality, on one hand, opens it up to commercialize the internet a little bit more, right? What they're not looking at is the actual diplomatic side of net neutrality. Yeah, we have some of the biggest ISPs in the whole fucking world, right? We have some of the most present companies in the globe on our soil right here. So what happens when our country decides that they don't like that country? Since we're already privatizing the internet, we're making it so that the internet can be purchased off and tiered down. Well, shit, we could just limit the access that China has to our internet. They're not going to be able to access our sites as much anymore. I'm not saying it will happen, but that's the kind of scary shit that can happen. Russia right now was doing this big thing, right now. Russia a couple of years ago was doing this big thing. How much internet theory do you have? Like, do you understand how the internet works? DNS and stuff like that?
I mean, I do more or less, but just for the sake of a potential future audience.
For clarity, right?
Right.
Check it out. The way the internet works, kind of, your IP address, right, is a set of numbers that uniquely identifies you. The reason, if you create a website right now, and you buy a domain name, they register that with a DNS service. That service passes the word out to all the other computers. It takes a while for the information to propagate because it literally has to be passed from one computer to another when they connect to that node, right? Like a virus, but a good one. And that's how IP addresses work, right? That's how you get your position on the internet. Russia was doing this thing where they were taking certain IP requests and saying, yes, I am this computer you're looking for, my friend. No matter what computer it was, and routing certain IP addresses to other things. That leaves the door open for me to say, yes, my friend, do not be worried. I totally am that website. And this right here is where you put your credit card numbers. And I get all of your information before I pass it along to Amazon. Right? If we can DNS spoof, which is what they were doing, basically saying they were a DNS server and controlling where the traffic goes, you control the internet. If you have a two-tiered lane for people to pay for internet, you're setting a precedent saying, yeah, we don't mind you paying us for us to do bad things. They're setting a precedent saying that business is more important than people in the internet, and that's a bad way to be. The internet is open and free, and it's such a wonderful thing because of the content people create. And creativity is going to be shut down if you have a two-tiered internet. It's all going to be about corporate greed, and the only creativity you're going to get is this fucking AstroTurf, false flag, non-accurate creativity. It's corporate creativity, right?
So basically, Tier 2 internet would just be like a replication of RL.
Kind of, yeah. It's basically RL leaking into my internet. Yeah.
Fucking greed.
These fucking chuckleheads that don't understand what the internet is get to decide what the internet does. And that fucking kills me because, once again, where I am an omnipotent force, I'm being told I'm powerless.
You're literally being taken on and fucking sold. You are literally being stolen from. The omnipotent you know?
Yeah. And they don't even, it's not even just the physical meaning of something. It's that little glimpse of freedom. That's what they're aiming for. The one thing that keeps me like, okay, maybe reality isn't as terrible as I thought it was. I can do what I want here. They're like, no, not anymore.
They're literally taking away that escape outlet. Like
we live in a glorious time, man. We really do. But we also live in an absolutely atrocious time where, there are not physical atrocities being committed to us, and I'm thankful for that. Don't get me wrong. But the physical form isn't what I'm worried about right now. I'm sure there are other people that are worried about theirs, and I can fully understand that. I'm not saying that my plight is greater or worse than anyone's. But the plight of the creative soul losing the internet like this is a big problem, dude. And I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. You know, there are hundreds of thousands of us, but we're being ignored. And what's worse, right? I uncovered some shit and I passed it along to some people, but nobody gave a shit. There was this thing where you could comment on the proposition that they were using to. You basically comment on the bill through the White House website to say that you're supporting it or you're not supporting it, right? If you look at the comments, there were a lot of comments that I noticed started with the same letter for the first name and last name. It wasn't an alphabetical list. It was sorted by the time of post. However, it appeared to be sorted alphabetically because a name with an A letter first name and a B letter last name. A letter first name, B letter last name. All the way down this list until it switched to B letter first name, C letter last name. It's a pattern. I'm good at seeing patterns. I did some research, and all of the comments that they were posting were the same. They literally were copy pasta, right? I tracked back the copy pasta, found out that I found a Reddit thread where they had uncovered that I rabbit hole just that, dude. I smoked a shit ton. But found out that the comment that they were posting was coming from a campaign for privatized dual lane internet, right? Coming from a corporation that makes these grassroots fundraisers. I know it sounds conspiracy theory as fuck. I can give you links, right? But anyway, this company has been known to do this. We were looking at the people don't actually exist. We were doing actual background checks on some of these people just to figure out if they were real. And it turns out the last names were real, the addresses were real, but when they were contacted, the first name didn't exist. These companies are making massive fucking fake accounts and posting on bills and legislation so that corporations can dictate and handle what exactly is going on with our government. Corporations dictating legislation that controls corporations. Uncovered it, sent it to several news outlets. You know, nobody responded back. Literally nobody. But I've got definitive proof that these people don't exist. They're lobbying to have fucking net neutrality wiped away. But they don't exist. They're created by a company. So I'm watching corporate greed kill my dream. How is that supposed to... That right there is why I'm anxious. That right there is why I need my medication. It's because I'm seeing this beautiful world in contrast to its deep, seedy underbelly that's trying to kill it. You know, I get the yin and yang is a thing, but fuck, I didn't think they'd be that diverse.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, they're already doing it out here in the real world, or I guess RL we'll call it, because, you know, what is real. But the fact that they're also dabbling in the cyber world as well, which is supposed to be like a utopia for freedom, it just shows that they're really getting too big for their bridges, in the sense that, you know, that everything, it seems that everything has a price, including freedom itself to these assholes. And the sad thing about it is that currency isn't even really real. You know, it's this idea that we all kind of have like a unspoken agreement upon. But I mean, even that, you know, it's backed by essentially nothing. You know, it's just paper.
So the filings that I was talking about, they were on the FCC.gov website. I can give you a link to that. And I'll also give you a link to the Reddit forum where I was looking it up. But the thing is called the DCI group, right? And if you look at their Our Work tab, it says that they are an independent public affairs consulting firm that specializes in public relations, crisis management, grassroots engagement, and digital advocacy. That right there screams scumbag to me. I'm sorry, but you can't be involved in grassroots engagement and public relations and crisis management at the same time. And as far as digital advocacy goes, that's total bullshit, because they're literally doing the opposite of that by saying that neutrality is bad. They're advocating for bad people.
Well,
anyway,
well, not only that.
I'm passionate.
No, it's cool, man. I dig it. You know, I dig the vibe of that. It basically, I guess I'll help sum it up. These corporate assholes are they're basically using said cheat code you were talking about earlier. You know, they're fucking you know, with this
social engineering, bro. Ignore the end of that Jason. That's homeboy reposting my stuff to somebody that we're in a three-way chat. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's literally them getting access to shit that through social engineering, right? They're flooding this Deiphage, and you can actually look at it now, and I don't know if it's still that way. Yeah. So a lot of these right here are the same last name, first name thing that I was talking about. Not as many right now. Looks like they changed it up. But a lot of these people, I would wager, don't exist. You know, right here. So on the page I'm looking at, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these names are first names and last names that have the same letter. Sorry, right? Conspiracy theory, right? I know. But it goes deeper than that because they're all using the same comment.
Yeah, it's like it's a bot.
It is a bot. That's exactly what it is. I can write a script that can do that. But if I write a script to do this, I'm just as bad as them, and I'm putting myself at risk by doing it, you know? Part of me wants to. There's a big part of me that really wants to do that. But at the same time, if it was to be boiled down, if I was to get in trouble for essentially spamming FCC.gov, right, then it would be looked at, it would be framed in a way that this is why we need internet safeguards. This is why we need, you know, more control over the internet. Look at what this one renegade maverick did. But corporations are allowed to freely stampede around in fucking broad daylight doing shit like this. With no repercussions. These people are doing this for a fucking living. Not only are they doing this, they're getting paid. They're making bank off of fucking flooding FCC.gov. Of ruining our potential to protect something that we desperately need. They're making bank off of breaking our backs.
Well, yeah, man. This goes back.
And if we were to fight back, if we were to do the same thing, we'd be put in chains. And it would literally only serve to strengthen their grip on the internet. So this is a fucking Kobayashi Maru, right? This is a no-win scenario. The only winning move is not to play, right?
Wow, so a catch-22.
Yeah, man. This is why I have anxiety. This is why I panic. This is what worries me. And it's fucked up because it's just fringe enough to sound crazy, right? But if you look at the evidence I sent you, if you actually go through it yourself, you'll see this. These are like, this isn't insane ramblings, right? I know it is fucking insane ramblings, but it's not. Like, this has proof. There's evidence here. But nobody's looking at it. I've sent it to several news organizations. I've sent it to Philip DeFranco. I've sent it to, you know, all of the big YouTubers that I know. None of them wanted to even look at it. I was on this within an hour of it, because I just happened to post my comment as I started seeing these flood in. Within the first hour that I was monitoring it, there were 300 additional comments matching first and last names made within an hour. If they were posting them at 300 an hour, there's no way that those of us who know that the net neutrality is a problem are going to be able to outweigh that. You know? It's a moot point. There's no way we can win, at least through this game.
Unless we resorted to like true cyberpunk, backlashes of cyber warfare, you know?
No. The real way to handle it, if I'm being totally honest, and this right here is why I wanted to use a different name, my absurd thoughts on shit like this. You make a backyard satellite, and you basically launch it into space, and you create your own DSL system. You make an internet, and you encourage others to do the same by making all of your shit public and open. Easy to follow tutorials, great information, right? If everybody was to throw up their own satellite, if everybody was to control their own internet, they wouldn't be able to handle it. There would be no need for an FCC. They couldn't control it. And to be honest, even with them trying to control it, I don't think they can control it. The internet is stage one. There's something bigger coming. You know, the internet is a base for something. But if everything we do is based on our ability to push electrons, this right here isn't the end. And them controlling it, look, I'm not worried about that anymore. You know, I'm still anxious about it, but this right here is the kind of thought that keeps me going. The internet right now is fledgling, and they can do all kinds of shit to fuck it up. But they can't stop it. We didn't have the internet 100 years ago. You know, this is something we invented through human ingenuity. If they take this away from us, we'll make something else. Some of us is going to throw up a fucking DSL satellite. Somebody's going to make an undernet. Somebody's going to make a different internet that you can connect to, that you can move through.
Almost like the Linux of internet.
Right. There are those of us that are open source fanatics and we're subversive enough to not give a shit about an FCC guideline. Oh, dude, there are still hundreds of thousands of pirate radio stations out there. Do you know that? Pirate radio, I could teach you how to make a pirate radio station on an Arduino for $30 that you could set somewhere and leave it running forever. You make 100 of those and you can take over a radio station in your own town. Promise.
Huh. I definitely want more information on that because I'm been interested in starting something like that.
Here's the thing. Well, it's a big fucking federal crime. That's the other problem. Right? We have this power, but they want to control it. So you can literally, here's the beautiful thing about the internet. You can Google DIY and then radio station or DIY Arduino radio station and all the information you need to make your own right there. Hundreds of tutorials. And if the first one doesn't work, watch the second one.
Dude,
you know? You can learn anything in an afternoon because of the internet. Because of the shit that they're fighting to fucking kill.
Man. Okay, well, look.
I'm passionate about my hometown. The internet is my hometown.
Yeah, well, I mean, for a transhumanist, I wouldn't expect any less, but, so, just for the sake of a potential future audience here, what would you recommend, that they do? What can they do to, other than what you have already said, like what can they do in a more like minimalist, basic level? Because you know everybody gets busy, everybody gets hogtied with life. What could they do on a small scale to combat this injustice?
So the simple way, right, would be to contact your congressman. You know, like I know that's what everybody says, right? And it's a big ass worry. You just make a phone call. That's all it is. And if they don't answer the first time, leave a message. You know, let them know that this is important to you. It doesn't, you know, even if they take it over, though, even if the FCC decides net neutrality is a problem, we're going to do away with it. You know, even if they do make it so that the corporations can see all of our data, handle all of our information however the fuck they want. Even if they outlaw encryption, there are those of us that are subversive enough to still encrypt. There are those of us that are subversive enough to still run internet that is net neutral. You know, where there are creators, there are people who don't give a shit about these stupid fucking petty rules that literally corporations are putting into place. So I would say get to know those people. if you really want to help, if you really want to be on the cutting edge, and if you really want to follow the electron, come on, those people. You know, get to know the people that are innovators. Get to know the people that aren't afraid to send up a satellite. By the way, sending up a satellite, you could probably do that if you look up some tutorials with hobbyist material. Because at this point, hobbyist material is, you know, definitely strong enough to do some serious shit. You can build, there are people that are currently, you can look up diagrams, right, of how to build a multi-stage rocket using hobbyist rocket burners. If you build a multi-stage rocket properly, you can send up an Arduino that is actually a satellite. And you could program it with your own, you know, I haven't seen a tutorial for this one yet, but I bet that if I spend enough time, I could figure it out. You could write your own DNS server. Throw it up there. If you have a DNS server that is controlling where your bits and shit goes, you've got your own internet. If you can connect that to any internet port, you'd basically be making a space VPN.
Shit, right.
A virtual private network in space. My IP is from space, bitch.
No, I like that a lot, man. That's definitely taking like the battleground to the next level. You know, that's.
Oh man, here's the thing, right? Everybody thinks of it as this big ass battle. Well, I don't like to fight. I really don't. You know, I don't like the struggle that's involved. I don't like the fact that I might lose. So I look at it from another perspective, man. How can I avoid it, right? But what can I do to prevent it? So if I need to prevent people from taking over the internet, I need to host the internet. Or at least my access to it. You know? Granted, I won't be able to control the internet of everything that's connected to me. Like, say, I won't be able to control the internet that certain websites are on, right? So if the path to them gets slowed, that's fine. But if enough people create their own internet, and enough people decide that, hey, the bullshit internet that these fucking pawns control isn't what I want to use. I want to use an open internet. They all move to that. It'll eventually force the people that are creators that are tied to it to hop over, you know? It'll force them to migrate. That's where innovation will force them to slowly but surely decide that the limitations they're currently allowing to fall on us are too much. But that's just me, man. I don't like the idea of the FCC deciding that my game should get less bandwidth than somebody else's fucking Google search. You know?
Yeah.
I like the idea of people being able to access my website even if I'm hosting it from my box. You know? I don't want to have to pay a second premium to be able to have people access my website. You know? Which, by the way, if you're doing a podcast, should be hosted by Squarespace, which makes wonderful websites and has beautiful, elegant designs and shit like that, probably, I guess. I don't know.
No, good to know on that. I haven't really dabbled with Squarespace yet. I've been mainly just kind of uploading them onto my YouTube account or whatever, and then I'll repost it on my blog or whatever, you know?
Bro, it was a joke. I'm getting you a free advertisement.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
like, all podcasts have Squarespace advertisements.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. But I'm just saying, you know, I'm always open to, like, different means of suggestions, you know.
Learn to host yourself. That is the biggest thing I could say. Learn to host yourself. Gain control of your internet. Right now, the reason I run Linux is because I can, in 5 commands, I think, set up a LAMP server, right? LAMP is Apache, MySQL, and PHP running on a Linux kernel. So it basically means that I can host my website. You know that comic thing I showed you earlier, right?
Right.
But that is hosted off of my computer. I'm able to do that because I run a LAMP server. I can host my website off of my computer if I want, because I host a LAMP server. I like the ability to do that, and I'm afraid that this is a slippery slope, and I hate to use that argument, right, because it's been used so badly everywhere else, right? But I think this right here is a legit slippery slope. You're setting a precedent that it's okay to take away internet freedom. And I think that this right here is going to open some floodgates. I think that they will be less afraid to step on internet freedoms. And I don't want them to. I really don't.
Yeah, well, the thing is we're already being oppressed enough in RL. You know, it's taking it.
This is our last bastion, right?
It's taking it too far. Right. Wait, what'd you say? Our last what? Bastion?
Yeah, this is our last bastion, and this is our last hallowed ground. You know? This is my sanctuary. This is where I come to be me. And I can't do that anymore.
And
or I won't be able to.
Because the corporate thought police are invading. They're banging on the door and they're trying to confiscate it and then resell it.
Right? That's it. They're trying to profit off the electron, bro. And to be honest, energy should be free. I hate to bring it back to Tesla, but always bring it back to Tesla. Energy should be free, man. The sun's giving away more of it than we will ever be able to use. So why are we not making it our own? I shouldn't have to pay an electric bill at all.
Yeah, fuck metered electricity. It should be Wi-Fi.
Pro tip, energy should be free, but so should internet. It's literally just me sending data to you. You know, point-to-point internet. That's why the only usable thing that the only reason that ISPs really ought to exist is to control DNS points. And to be honest, DNS servers, if you had a few really good stand-up citizens, they could probably host all the DNS servers you'd ever need. You know? You get some decent rules, and computers are going to pass it around properly anyway. It's not a problem. It'll all propagate eventually. But, you know, ISPs are going, hopefully, in the future, I'd like to see ISPs phased out. You know, I'd like to see people taking the internet into their own hands. But
or at least something like available to everyone, you know, kind of like, I don't want to name drop Google and how they like made a badass, like they innovated like this amazing system for like a search engine. But, you know, I mean, they kind of seemed corrupted as time went on. But at first, Google was amazing, you know, whenever it was just, they weren't really that big, you know, it was just kind of like this alternative, like amazing search site that you used, like versus like Yahoo or MSN search or whatever, you know, at the time. So something kind of like along those lines that makes it available for everybody, but doesn't let itself get corrupted and become like some sort of like corporate conglomerate that's just like trying to slowly buy everything out so that way it can meter everything.
Let me blow your mind a little bit. You were talking about Google, some of the good stuff they've done. Have you heard about Project Moon?
Project Moon?
Loon. L-O-O-N. Loon.
Loon, no.
Okay. You can do a Google search for it, but basically what it is they're strapping these 3G Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi routers, they're hotspots basically, right? To weather balloons. And setting them adrift in places where they can control their altitude so that they can dive in and out for seamless internet for places that are Wi-Fi hot or Wi-Fi dead zones. Specifically in like Africa and rural areas. Google was like, you know what? Fucking balloons. That'll solve this problem. And they weren't wrong. It's not a great idea and it's not entirely practical. But that was one of the things that Google was fucking around with. You know? I've got a lot of respect for Google. I really do. I don't like the fact that they recently sold their corporation to Alphabet. That scares me a little bit. You know, Google used to have this thing, it was their mission statement, don't be evil. Right?
Right.
That has since been removed. And that scares me. Because I've said for years, if Google ever took over, I would happily welcome the Google overlords, right? I would be like, okay, overlord. But now that Google's been taken over by a company that I don't understand and I don't know anything about, I don't know, man. I might have to rethink that whole overlord thing. And, you know, knowing the way that I handle myself, instead of fighting them, I would probably just decide to become an overlord myself. And that's a problem because Deiphage literally translates to God Eater. So, I mean, we can take it to a logical conclusion, but
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't think it's a bad one, man. I think, honestly, I think we need more God Eaters because these self-appointed fucking gods or anti-gods or demigods, whatever you want to call them, that are reigning over us right now, they are they are thieving the shit out of us, man. And it's literally like we're being put in like a Robin Hood situation where we have to steal our own property back. So they're literally stealing not only our money, they're stealing our rights. They're stealing everything. The internet. They're stealing other nations' gold. Their precious stones, and they're putting central banks in them. It goes on, man. And these people are getting way out of hand. And really, like you said earlier, you know, with your Tesla reference, you know, everything should be free because we should be post currency by now. We should be more for the betterment of mankind rather than like trying to make a quick buck via capitalism or whatever fucking system that's doomed to fail. You know, really, we need to all just put our minds together, eliminate currency, in my opinion, and just unite. You know, unite and enhance our technology, enhance our knowledge on the universe, explore the universe, and push ourselves further and further to the outer limits that we can tangibly achieve, and even once we get to that point, push it even further because there's no reason not to. We're infinite beings, you know. We have infinite potential, and I think that this is disgraceful and very ungodly of what these big corporate conglomerates are doing to us. We're being highly manipulated, and we're being brainwashed, and we're being coaxed and domesticated to become docile and be very accepting of this and just nod our heads and say, okay, yes, master, whatever. I am not. Completely disagree with that notion of living. That is no way to live. We should be more free than what we are. We should be absolutely free within reason. And maybe that makes me like some kind of naive dreamer or something. But I do believe that we can make the world a lot better than what it is. Maybe not perfect, but we can definitely work our way and strive towards perfection. There shouldn't be anything wrong with that, and there's no reason not to, because the fact that everybody just throws their hands up and doesn't push for betterment, it's self-defeat. We've already lost the battle before it's even started.
Well, like that's that curse of creativity I was talking about, man. You're able to see that brighter side. You're able to see what could be, and that's a big problem, right? But there's a little bit of solace to be had here too, right? The old guard is dying out just by nature of our temporary form. But people that still hold those beliefs about being able to control the proletariat and the younger generation, those people are dying off just by nature of being old, right? And truthfully, the younger generations, we have a better understanding of the way that things are in our world. We understand what the internet is. We understand how powerful a tool it is. We understand that the technology we hold in our hands right now, our cell phones by themselves, are able to unlock all kinds of potential. And we don't think of them just as, separate things that we could live without. Most people our age currently consider their phone a part of them, an extension of their being. They're not the same without it, And like I said, the solace to be had here is that old guard is dying out. The young generation and the new generation, the people like us, are slowly taking hold. And right now it doesn't seem that way, but we just got to wait this out. We're younger than them, man. We got a lot longer to live.
We will outlive them for sure, and they will die off, and they will not be replicated. And in the new...
Until then, we keep building simulations and just fucking burying ourselves in them while we wait it out. That's my solution, man.
Yeah, and you know what? That's actually that's very palpable. You know that's doable, and it's not too extreme to where you know you're gonna get someone in trouble or whatever. And I can get behind that. So you know,
I just wish they'd hurry up and legalize weed so my simulation would feel a little bit more real.
yeah, exactly, man. And it's really it's seldom shit like that. The fact that they're gonna make a flower illegal, you know, it just it speaks volumes. It shows how threatened they are of very very minute things that can like cause humans to expand their minds.
Humanity's biggest gift is our creativity. You know, it's also one of our biggest weaknesses. But creativity, in and of itself, is a game changer. And one of the things that marijuana does, at least for me, is greatly expand my creativity. I've written several songs now that are at a different BPM than 80. And I attribute that almost entirely to marijuana. I was high enough to think outside of 80, and that's a big deal for me. You know, your listeners won't get it, man, but every track I've ever written, for the most part, 80. I wrote one song outside of 80, and that was for you. Now, I've got 5 or 6 songs that are at 120, 130, 140 even. You know? That one that I sent you, Tunu Boop, I think it was, the one that I hadn't had fully titled yet.
Yeah,
that I've since finished and I'm literally holding on to it, not handing out yet. Which, if you want to hear, I'll break that. But anyway.
Yeah, shoot me a link. Or play it.
Yeah, well, okay. Hang on. Let me hop over to it. But what I was getting at is that very song, I believe, is 120. That's entirely made possible because I was high.
Dude. You know? Well, it feels very... I feel honored for you to feature it on my podcast for the first time, man. Cool. This is the premiere of it, then.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so it's called Fuck the Dark. No, well, Fuck the Dark is also let's do Fuck the Dark. That's a good one. Okay, so I'm going to just send you a link so you can actually edit it in. But we'll go ahead and listen to it now. Because if you're going to play it, fucker, you better do it right.
I'll add it on to the end, man, because really I'm kind of taking my podcast in a different direction than most mainstream podcasts.
Oh, you're going with a solid stream. That's what's up.
Yeah, lo-fi, no edits, just straight. Like what you hear is is how it was recorded. You know, I'm trying to do it. See, I'm all about you know, man, we're getting some feedback, but what you call it? I'm trying to do something kind of like contrary to what the mainstream's doing, which I feel is like they're you know, they're taking bits out. You know, they're cutting and splicing what they want in the show, and me, I want it no holds barred, raw, lo-fi. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I feel you, man. So this is called Fuck the Dark. I don't know if you know, I'm afraid of the dark. Mainly because I'm a big scary motherfucker and I can hide in the dark. If I can hide in the dark, big scary motherfucking things can hide in the dark. I don't like the dark. So let me turn off my AC because at least that's not in the head. There we go. And there might be a train passing by because, you know, fucking I'm bored. But here we go. Check it out. Fuck the dark. And there it is.
Right on, dude.
The vocal clip, I don't even know what movie it's from. I literally fucking found it in an archive. But I can tell you what it says. She says, what we have can't be hurt. Or can't hurt it. Nothing can hurt us now. What we have is... hang on. I'm dumb as shit. I'm also high as fuck, so that's probably not helping. It does have drawbacks. So she says, essentially, what we have can't be broken now. That's our victory. That's our victory over the dark. I don't know what it's from, but I know the fucking video that I saw it in. Nothing can hurt us now. There it is. What we have can't be destroyed. That's our victory. That's our victory over the dark. So yeah, fuck the dark. And I will send you a link to that. Hang on.
No, I mean that's what we are essentially, man. We're light bringers. So in a way, yeah, we are fucking the dark with our presence. You know what I mean? We're filling in the negative space, the empty space, the void. We are here to brighten it like a star. We are literally starmen.
There you go. Fucking illuminating. Yeah, dude, that makes sense. I mean, for me, I think that link will work. No, it won't. Wait. Yeah, well, okay. I typed that in manually, so I haven't verified it yet, but it should work.
Wow, is this giving me access to a file on your actual computer?
Yeah.
That's pretty rad, dude.
That's my... Well, hang on. 17... I think it's my IP address. Nope, I typed that in wrong. It's well, I'm not going to say it because we're recording. However, I will type it. It's the same thing, but that number 2 there is a number 3. So it should look like that. Please don't hack me, guys. I'm just a normal person. Well, no, that's not true. I'm not normal. I mean, I'm pretty far from it. But I'm kind of a nice person sometimes. I'm barely, to be honest, I'm barely a person at all. Only physically. But I'm trying to move past that, so you know.
Transhuman, brother.
Hey, man, I want to be digital. I swear.
You know what? That's actually very edgy of you to say, man, because a lot of people are against that. You know, they associate being digital with, you know, I guess like things like the RFID chip, you know, like, okay, I got it. Man, that's pretty rad, dude. Linux is tits. What you call it? But, you know, it's right now it's cutting edge just because they're people are like, they literally are fighting for their humanity. They want to be dumb humans forever and eventually die and decompose. You know, they don't want to integrate with technology. They want to stay in the past. And unfortunately, I mean, you know, I used to kind of like share that viewpoint, but even I'm seeing currently that, you know, evolving alongside technology, you know, is inevitable just because technology is evolving with us, and technology is evolving even faster at a more exponential rate. So really, it's going to speed up our evolving.
Solace that you can take, man. You know, it's taken our technology in the last 20 or 30 years has increased at such an exponential rate, right? That it's absurd to think that we won't reach some sort of future where we are digital in the near future, within our lifetimes, I would almost say. You know, because to be honest, if computing has, at this point, we haven't plateaued yet. We're still increasing exponentially. CPUs themselves might have tapered off, but GPUs are picking up. And we're also expanding our abilities to handle more memory. We're expanding our computing power, and we're expanding our ability to do it exponentially. And if it's going to keep heading that way, I can only see a future where we're digital.
That's
And if we're in a world that's digital and we find a way to make it, I don't know, a diffused net of neural consciousness where everybody has their own little simulation that they're running, then that literally makes us invulnerable to widespread attacks, like somebody destroying a server farm. If you do it properly, you can make the whole thing pretty fucking secure.
Yeah, dude.
Sorry, I go dark when I get deep.
No, I mean it's that's kind of like the theme of the show, man.
Well, like if you're going to imagine yourself living in a digital world and you live in a world where terrorism is a very real and almost normal thing now, you kind of have to figure out what would a terrorist do to ruin my world? Well, they blow up my server farm. How do I fix that? Well, don't have a server farm. Oh shit, that's fixed.
Yeah, in a sense. But I mean,
you don't need a server farm if you use distributed computing. If everybody has their own server, and everybody's server is linked through something like the internet, where everything is DNS based. So, like, I tell you my IP address, and if you ask me for somebody else's, I can try to get to it if I've connected to them, or I'll pass you to somebody who does. That's how DNS works, basically. If you were to do something like that, but on a wide scale, so everybody acted that way, you open yourself up to certain people being problems and moving your data. But if you have a way to compare the data, if you could say, like, okay, this dude says that he is the bank, but all of these people say that the bank is over here, you can fix that too. So no one person is going to be able to redirect a website. That does, though, open up a really interesting thought. Okay. I have a thought, and it's kind of a weird one. I don't know if it's dangerous or not.
Let it out.
Okay. So, if, in theory, at this point, right, I'm just thinking out loud. If you were to get enough people to act as a DNS server and hand out false information, theoretically, you could make enough noise to redirect entire websites. If you got enough people to say, no, Google isn't at its regular IP address, Google belongs at Pornhub, you could redirect Google to Pornhub.
That, what you just said, I would put that under, like, what started this whole conversation, which unfortunately, was before I hit record. Because, we talked for about a good hour or so before I even, got us on the air. But I mean, really, we were kind of priming for it anyway. And the reason why I hadn't let you know from the start was because I wanted at least the first bit to be, like, completely authentic and kind of,
that's fine.
You know what I'm saying? But now that we're both aware, I mean, it's almost hard not to play to the fact that you're being recorded sometimes. But if anything, it kind of adds its own variable to it. But what I'm getting at is, shit, dude, I might have lost the point.
No. We were talking about how I'm really high. I'm sorry. Oh yeah. Okay. So with enough people, you could redirect really big websites. That was what I was saying. That if you had enough power, you could basically act as a DNS.
Okay, so I think what I was gonna get at was I was gonna make the parallel that what you just said about everyone having, like, their own server. It's kind of like a higher derivative, or not even a higher derivative, but like a higher scale version of, like, social media. Like, instead of everyone having, like, a profile, everybody has a server. So it's kind of like the same sort of model in a sense. So I mean, it's not far fetched is all I was trying to say. It's just like, it's that, like, on a meta scale, but everyone would have to, like, be technically inclined and know to get a server and et cetera, et cetera. And man, you might have a little bit more faith in humanity than I do.
Inclined and has a cell phone now.
Yeah.
It's not that far-fetched. I mean, technology, people evolve with technology to the point where technology doesn't seem surprising anymore, right? I now know enough about computers to I don't want to say my dad maybe, but somebody in my dad's position, because my dad's unique, right? Well, no, I can still out-compute my dad. I'm sorry, Dad. If you hear this, I love you. I can out-compute you, I think. No hard feelings. I don't know, because he knows a lot about Windows, and I'm really Linux-based, so it's really not a fair comparison. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that our generation is learning computing way the fuck easier than the people that came before us, right? It will reach a point where the new generation is so into computing that they're like, oh, yeah, dude, I had 6 servers when I was a kid, and it's not a big deal. I mean, shit, dude, look at me. I literally host all kinds of shit just because I can. Not because I need to, like we were discussing earlier, because it is an easy way for me to find problems that literally exist and I can solve with no repercussions if I fail. It's a safe zone for me to fucking problem solve and you've got that tiny bit of euphoria I get from it. Which, by the way, doesn't work once you break it down and diagnose it that way, as far as I can tell so far.
Yeah. Well, I remember what I was going to say now, and you just triggered that memory. But I was going to take it back too. So what started this conversation was the fact that I started talking about Kekistan, and and like this, what you're saying, like essentially trolling the powers that be through the internet, is already happening on a meme scale.
Oh, you are not wrong, sir. Damn.
And I hate that I made this fucking reference, man, because really I don't really approve of Kekistan. To me, it's very distasteful, and it kind of gives me a bad taste in my mouth, even just saying the word. But
as well it should, man. As well it should. Well, in my opinion, at least, I can see why people would support it. But I kind of feel like it's too much.
That's exactly what I said to my wife. It's too much.
It really is, man.
It's too silly.
Well, not even that it's too silly. It's just you're taking something into a space that I'm not certain it should be taken into. But that is my own moral limits that I'm trying to impose on somebody else, and I don't. I can only say that the boundaries that I would like to establish are good by my own thoughts, right? I can see why I would put them up. I don't know that I could see why other people would put them up, and by that same logic, I don't know that other people would be able to understand why I would put them up.
Yeah, man,
Sorry, I'm pretty baked.
No, that oddly made sense, dude. It ties in with the whole rounded conversation. Everything's tied together. We're just connecting. We're making a weave right now. We're
very tangential.
Yeah. And you know what? It's literally point to point, but we're just connecting all the dots, man, because it's all tied together. Existence, it is tied together. Period, because it's all made up of the same thing.
Here we go, man. Earlier you asked me what people could do to make things better, right? I would say, looking at all of the things we've unpacked here, all of this shit that we've slightly uncovered, the biggest thing you could do to help shit get better is teach the next generation, number one, how to handle shit, how to be planet conscious, how to be a good person, how to be morally well. But number two, teach them how to compute, and teach them how to out-compute you, most importantly. That's something you pay forward, right? So, my dad taught me how to compute, and I have since then taught my nephews how to compute. And I open invitation to almost anybody, man. If you want to learn something about Linux, hit me up. Like, I can help as far as I can. And if I can't figure it out, I'll help you figure it out. But that's the beauty of it. if you can pass it on, and if you can teach other people to be as technologically advanced as you are, then there's no way they can hold us. You know, you can't stop evolution. Fucking Jurassic Park, right? Let's take it back to that Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. I think that technological evolution is part of our life. And I don't think that they're going to be able to stop it, even with their laws and limitations. So while I am extremely anxious, because it's going to suck in my lifetime, we're about to push our head into a really fucking hard wall, you know. But we'll get through it. Once, you know, all of this shit happens, and once they pass these fucking laws against net neutrality, then things are going to get difficult, and it's going to get grim. But I don't think that they can stop technical evolution. I don't think that they can stop digital evolution. They can stunt its growth, sure. There are always those of us who are just subversive enough to be like, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. And if we all do it, they can't arrest us all. You know? But, shit, that's what I thought about Napster too, right?
It's funny you say Napster, man. It kind of all started off with that fucking greedy asshole Lars Ulrich.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
It's like ever since that happened, it's more of the same shit over and over.
Imagine a parallel universe where that decision went the other way.
A parallel universe where Lars Ulrich was actually cool.
No, a parallel universe where Lars Ulrich was still Lars Ulrich, but the courts were like, you know what? No, we're tired of this. No, your copyright doesn't matter anymore. This is a digital age. You profit because people like you. If you want that money, you have to play for it. You have to, you have to embrace people as they are. People shouldn't be allowed to make the rules to say, hey, I want you to pay me, and this is what you have to pay me for. That's not fair. If you're going to ask me to pay you, I should get to set the service. That's what I'm looking for. And it's not just talking about it on like a corporate level, but like literally everything, man. If you're looking to sell something, you need to sell it to somebody. You don't get to set the rules. That's the problem I have with the way that the ISPs are moving now. They're trying to set the rules and take our money. And we live in a world where you absolutely don't have a choice. You have to have internet at this point. In order to stay human and be relevant, the internet is important. And if they're able to say, you have to do it this way, they're setting the rules and taking their money, and that's a fucked up predicament.
Yeah, because what they're doing is they're fixing it in their favor.
Yeah, man. But, eventually we're going to get past it. They can stop it now. But, they're not going to stop us in the end. Like I said, somebody's going to pop up a satellite. Somebody's going to make an undernet. Somebody's going to design some... Hell, I might. I'm not saying I will. But if I do, I'll let you know. But the idea is not that far-fetched, and the technology is here. We can do it. It's simple. And there are YouTube videos to educate you to do it. That's the beauty of the world we live in. We live in the moment where knowledge itself is not relegated just to the wealthy. Knowledge is free right now to a large extent. And I want to be able to live in a world where it's all the way free. I want to be able to say, hey, I'd like to send a satellite up and have my own internet come from it. And learn how to do it on YouTube. Unfortunately, nobody else is going to do it. So that's, somebody's got to take the first step.
Right. It's going to take a good deal of effort initially, but I'm pretty sure once one person does it, if they haven't already, it will slowly become more doable and viral as it it's like the phenomenon of someone learning something. When someone learns something, it makes it easier for the next person to learn something just because we're all like interconnected,
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like an idea, you catching an idea. Like if you don't do anything with the idea, someone else will eventually catch that idea.
Not only that, but The beautiful thing about open source is, and this is one of the things I've been preaching since day one, right, is if I have an idea and I put it out there, somebody who's looking at something else can take my idea and implement it for something else. So, like, for instance, that comic viewer that I showed you earlier is implemented in that open sim that I showed you. It's a Second Life open source software. Somebody had that wonderful idea, and they were like, you know what, I like the idea of Second Life. I want to be able to do it, but I want to make it open source so anybody can do what they want with it. So I took that idea, and I took that comic viewer idea, and I modified it because it's open source, and I made it work for what I wanted it to do. I now have a very unique situation where I can sit in my open sim and read my comics. You know, that's what I was trying to accomplish. I was able to accomplish it because I took their two ideas and squished them together. If it wasn't for open source, that kind of stuff wouldn't be possible. Now I've got a unique product invented by these two ideas. And since it's open source, I release the source code for it. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm happy to show other people how to do it too. That's the beautiful thing about it. It encourages the development, it facilitates the evolution of technology.
Steve,
to put it succinctly, like, that's it.
Deiphage, you know, open source over the internet, all it is a replication of the way it should be in RL. RL itself
That's
is
right.
open source, and man needed to be open source for starters in order to survive, so they had to band together and put their minds together. Whereas, like, that's what got us from A to B, man. And now that we're over here at this point in the grid, they're contradicting that. What's always worked for us as, like, being connected and interconnected and being cohesive, they're trying to isolate us and, you know, essentially charge us for any sort of, like, connection, including the internet. So I mean, all I'm trying to say is it seems like a mirror reflection of the way things should be. All the internet is like existence itself, but, like, you know, transferred into digital code. And yes, I agree that the internet should be free, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead on and, you know, also say, hey, you know what? What we're talking about, you know, the way it should be over the internet is the way it should be in the real world, damn it, you know, and I'm all for that as well. I'm just trying to tie RL with, you know, with reality world, you know, or I mean, internet world rather.
The issue is one of the things that everybody can agree on is that knowledge and the act of learning is important, right? That's huge. That is one of the things that we preach to our young, we take to heart, we do it ourselves. You don't find people who think that knowledge is terrible, and if you do, they're really not the kind of people you want to find. But truthfully, if knowledge is that important, then why are we allowing them to control it, man? Knowledge should be free. You know, I get paying your teachers. Trust me, I want to be a teacher. That's what I'm going to school for, right? I think teachers are great, and I think that they deserve to be paid. However, I don't think that we should have to pay these absurd fucking college rates. My tuition's absurd, man. I am now very far in debt with the prospect of recovery looking grim. However, at the same time, you know, I'm still preaching knowledge is free. If somebody wanted to ask me to teach them about Chem 111, you know, sure, bro, I will give you every bit of knowledge I have about that because I want you to excel. I want humanity as a whole to move forward, and anybody who doesn't isn't human anyway at that point. You know, if you don't, the only exception to that is the small sect of people who believe that we should gracefully bow out, that humanity should stop breeding and just peacefully walk into the sunset. You know, let us die of old age and stop existing so that the universe can move on without us. But sadly, it would only happen again. You know, especially if we're the universe trying to experience itself. It would just be like, no, I'm going to run a second one.
And who's to say it hasn't happened like that many times before? You know?
I mean, I don't see any dinosaurs. But no.
There you go.
No. But back to what I was saying, man, they're trying to control knowledge. You know, that's open source is that realization that, you know, here you can learn from the effort that I've already put in. You don't need to put that in anymore. You know, I've got that covered because I've already done it. I want to see what you're going to do with it.
You know what? What you just said
is more important than anything.
That right there, that takes us back to when we were discussing MMO skill trees. You know, it's like everybody spends all this time doing the same thing, you know, like on different characters, but they all essentially go through like the same storyline, the same skill tree line. You know, they're all doing the same thing. Whereas what you're trying to do is you're saying, hey,
I want to be.
I did the
pass it, dude. I think
you did the preliminary work already.
If we can get to the end of the skill tree in a day, if I learn a piece and you learn a piece and he learns a piece and we all learn our own piece, then we teach each other. Then we can all learn together. You know, that's the kind of environment I want to facilitate. That's the world I want to live in. I want to live in a world where we don't have to worry about physical harm. We don't have to worry about physical needs because we've got that shit covered. You know, if we're still physical, we're either beyond the need for resources, because honestly, if everything's made of electrons and protons, once we learn how to control them on a base level, we can create fucking any element out of anything. Yeah, okay. So need isn't a thing anymore. Once we've eliminated need, and we've got a world where knowledge is power, I want to see that power distributed. I don't want to see it held by corporations. You know, I want everyone to know what they need to know to do what they want to do. Period. That's happiness, right? Being able to look at something and being like, okay, I know exactly how to solve this, or I can figure this out without having to worry about it. You know? That's great. That's true happiness for me, and I want everybody to be able to experience that. And it's sad that I'm watching corporations be like, well, it's not happening today. But I'm still glad that I know that eventually they can't stop it. Innovation will prove that technology is going to fucking evolve alongside us anyway.
You know what? I think right there, what you just said was the perfect summary of this whole discussion, and I think we're gonna close it there. You know, I think that ties everything together, and just in a way that I think anything beyond what's been said already, I think we might be starting to get redundant. But no, I mean, I think we definitely hit some notes here, man. I'll shoot you the link as soon as.
That's the most important thing, man. Teach your kids.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, the kids are the future, so I'm definitely all about that now, especially being like, you know, being in my situation.
I want my fucking nursing home to be virtual, and the only way that I can make that happen is by teaching kids to be smart. So that's why I want to be a teacher.
and you know what? In this podcast alone, you were a hell of a teacher, man. So you're definitely on that path already, man. You don't need a teaching job to be a teacher. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of characters throughout our history or even mythology that, you know, they live their teachings. You know, they taught through example, and anyone who would come up to them, they would disclose whatever information and, you know, spread it, you know, spread the good vibes. And that's the way it should be, I think. But yeah, man, I think we got a killer cast here. I'm going to go ahead and upload it, man. And
hell yeah, man.
I'll shoot you the link, dude. I think you're going to like it.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I might use some of the vocal clips for some other shit too.
Yeah.
So once you post it, I'll probably download it and remix some of it.
And you know what? Yeah, definitely, dude. Because like, this is open source. You know, this is free information. I'm not trying to make money off of this. I'm just doing this for the
Creative Commons.
Exactly. I'm doing this for the betterment of mankind, man. This is what I get off to. You know, like, I'm a healer. You know, I want to uplift us. I don't want to, like, you know, profit off of like the expense of others. You know, we're clearly against that. You know. But
I like the idea of people always ask me when I print them something, like off my 3D printer, or when I fix something for them, what do I owe you? Right? You don't owe me anything, but if you feel like you need to pay so that you feel okay, tips are welcome.
yeah,
That's what I always say. I'm not worried about the monetary value of it. I'm happy that somebody's educated.
And you know what, man? That opens up the topic of basic income, man. And I'm not completely against it, but I'm not sure if I'm for it. But really, that's just one step closer to really just eliminating currency anyway. And that would be nice to see that happen. Unfortunately, I feel like currency is it's a driving factor for the common man, the slave-minded man anyway. But I guess that's a whole different.
For another time.
That's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast in and of itself, dude. The evolution of digital currencies.
But I mean,
okay.
As it stands right now, we are at the 3 hour and 20 minute mark. So I feel like we've got a pretty decent chunk right here.
Yeah, we can't do it anymore, dude. But that one next time, definitely write it down because I want to talk about it.
For sure. Hey, any last words, Deiphage?
Nah, man. Stay good.
Well, dude, it's been a pleasure, man. I had a great time talking to you, and I feel a lot better, dude. I was kind of bummed out earlier because, like I said, I was getting kind of bombarded on social media, and really fuck social media.
Stay out of them rabbit holes, man.
Exactly.
I only smoked about a half a bowl, but I feel a lot better. And I appreciate talking to you, man. It kind of helps me decompress. It's honestly therapeutic as shit. It really is.
Let's do this again, man. I don't want to put an expectation on us, but let's try to do this. Just to be practical, maybe once. I'd be willing to commit to once a month.
Okay.
And
I'll do more than that if you want. Maybe once a week for now.
Dude,
I don't care. I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you know what? As long as you're up to that speed, we can do it like that. Because really, I want to make this a thing. It's still.
The problem is, my schedule changes a lot, man. To be totally candid with you, between work and school, right now I'm on summer, so I don't have school. I took the summer off, so I'm working full time. My schedule's a lot more predictable. Once I go into my school semester, though, I'm part of student government. I've got all kinds of other obligations that I have to take seriously. I'm not saying I wouldn't take it seriously, but that's part of the reason that I'm not already attached to something.
Hey, well, a good thing.
It might be a temporary or long-term engagement. If we do record while I'm still in school, we might have to put it on a longer term. But I'd be totally okay recording content probably on a weekly basis right now. It sounds totally feasible to me.
Sweet, dude. Well, we'll just stay in touch like we have been, and we'll do it again very soon. Because even when you go into school, man, not every podcast has to be hours long. We could have a 20, 30 minute little segment. I'm totally cool with shorts as well. Right now. Exactly. Right now, I'll literally take what I can get, man, because I just. You're a unique person. You have a unique way of thinking, and I want to share it. I want to share it with the internet. I want to share it with the world. Just because I feel like we have a good cohesiveness going on, and it benefits to both of us. So I'm pretty sure it could benefit others as well in an open source environment.
I like it, man. Well, yeah, definitely. We'll keep in touch then, dude. I'll definitely hop back on sometime. But I would like to do this more. Yeah, it's very therapeutic for me, man. It keeps me chill.
Yeah, dude.
That's kind of what I'm looking for anyway.
Yeah, dude. Good. Well, that's great to hear, man. It's been a pleasure, and we'll talk to you soon.
Likewise, bro. Peace.
Later. That was my buddy Deiphage. Yeah, we've been kind of doing this sort of thing for going on 20 years now. Anyway, here's the track, Fuck the Dark, in a little bit better sound quality. Go ahead and play this to close it out.